There we go. All right. Welcome. I'd like to open the May 8th, 2018 meeting of the Littleton Board of Health. Why don't we jump right in? Before we get to our hearings, administrative matters, there were no minutes to review in the packet.
Any correspondence?
Does anybody have any board members with any correspondence or reports or updates?
Nothing from me.
You got anything?
No.
Okay. I think we both have, we can do it at the end of the time just to save some time.
Right.
I think we'll have some things we need to take care of in the minutes. So we're going to have to give this a few minutes till 7:05. Let's see, let's make sure we have everything. Okay, I guess I'll just say and remind everybody, Saturday is town elections, so Littleton residents, please go out and vote. We have a couple, we have 2 seats,
Correct.
right? 2 seats open on the board, so please go out and vote, not just for this board, but other items that are on the ballot. Which then means it'll be a completely new board then in 2 weeks,
Correct.
give or take, whenever the next meeting is.
Yep.
Mr. Chairman, can I interrupt you?
Please.
Would you be kind enough to put your name and address? Yeah, all 3 of you, okay?
Yep.
Don't forget the pen that belongs to Gene, okay?
All right. What you pay for? Yeah.
And pass that in the back. Thank you so much, I'm sorry.
No problem. One thing I noticed, I did not attend, I'm sorry to say, I probably shouldn't say this, I was not able to attend the town meeting this week.
It was nice and smooth.
I heard it went smooth, one bit of surprise with the plastic
Yeah.
bag ban
They
did not
lost.
pass.
Right.
Interesting.
What about it? Did it say that
It did not.
was
but
supported
it
by the
will be
Board of
stated.
Health? We supported, you and I, we didn't support it.
No, they came to us, and yeah, we
Yeah.
tacitly supported it.
We did?
Yeah. Yeah, we provided input on their thing, and
All right.
I think that was, you were out
Right,
when you
yes.
were traveling.
Okay,
But the sewer, they pulled that off the warrant.
correct.
So,
They were afraid I was gonna say something.
yep. So they came to us and did a review,
Mhm.
and then they pulled that off the warrant.
They're
so.
gonna be in November,
Now they're going back in November?
right.
All right.
So they're gonna have more problem if I get in.
Gino.
Do you want to take this time to say thank you for your service? to the
Well,
board?
I don't want,
Oh, I
I don't
will.
want to say thank
How
you.
many years has it been?
Just 3.
But nevertheless, being a vice chairman, I like to let people know that we were very proud to have you for those 3 years, even though you and I, we hate each other. Yeah, we didn't like each other, but now we love each other because you're gone. No, you might come back.
Absence makes the heart grow fonder.
You might come back again because you is a gift. You give us a gift for your presence, even though you travel so forth, and I sometimes have to take over. It was a pleasure to have you as a member. And I'm sure that everybody else has some nice thing to say to John, and if they don't, they better leave the room because I'm
No,
gonna throw them out.
I thought you guys were buddies.
We are buddies.
Yeah, I
Of course
never-
we are buddy.
Grew to love each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, well, thank you.
No, thanks.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for leading us, our fearless leader, for
Yeah.
the last year.
It was interesting. If it wasn't for so much travel, I may have considered rerunning, but.
You
yeah.
still have time later, you never know. I'll keep an eye on you, you know?
There's very many qualified people running, I
Right.
think, and we have some good members on the
Yeah,
board. so.
We are very lucky, we're very lucky.
All right, so I thank you, appreciate that.
Thank you,
Lisa,
thank you.
appreciate it. Okay, 7:05, why don't we open the hearing for 65 Grimes Lane?
Good evening. My name is Jim Warren. I'm with Northeast Classic Engineering.
Sit down.
I have the Peakies, who are the owners, with me tonight. What the Peakies are trying to do is do a voluntary upgrade of an old system they have at their home located at 65 Grimes Road. We did the soil testing quite a while ago. We were going through the permit process with Neshoba, mainly Jim Griffey, been reviewing. He's had some comments. We went back and forth. So we're at a point now, I apologize to this board that I missed the last meeting. That's totally my fault. I was notified and that I didn't schedule it properly, so I'm here before tonight. I gave a new letter. We need just one variance for this upgrade.
Just real quick, did, in the previous time, did you provide to Shelley
Any
notice of
information?
letters to the abutters?
I believe I have,
Did
yeah.
you? Okay,
Yeah.
all right, just want to confirm. Okay.
So what we need tonight, we're coming before the board to go from a 4-foot offset, which is required in the code, down to 3 feet. Mainly, what we're trying to do is, this location on Grimes Road, it's at the very end. What the homeowner is desiring, and I agree with him from an engineering standpoint, is we're trying to get the water to sweep around the new system and not pond at the end of the road. So that's our main concern. The more fill we put in there, the more breakout we have to do.
Currently, there's a hill that runs from here down into the hayfield, and this is the end of the road. The water runs here and through about this area. And over here, the hayfield starts going back up. So if we extend this out, we'll create a dam for the water. And it'll just sit here and puddle up on the road, and this is where the trucks turn around. So I can't really change the grade of this, because the plows right now, the town plows have a hard time backing up there and getting traction into here. So I can't make that steeper for the grade for this. So by getting this, the 3-foot instead of the 4-foot, allows us to just barely eke it in here for the water to get around here and flow normal, and still keep a grade here so the plows can turn around.
From 4 feet to 3 feet, am I correct?
Yes, that's correct. Yep. And we're not looking to change the bedroom count or anything like that. The house is going to stay as it is. There's no plans for any additions or anything like that.
Currently, I have a cesspool that is so bad at the moment that I can't even put my washing machine out to it. I have to wait every 2 or 3 days to shower,
I see.
and we wash in a pot, bring that outside, so we, the ground isn't bad. It's just that last year backed up into the house a couple of times and had to have the pipes unplugged.
What's the dotted line? Right there.
Which, this is
Yeah.
a 10-foot offset to
That's
property
the
line.
offset.
Yeah, there's been some questions. The parcel's very big. It's hard to show it on this. It's, you know, it's 120, over 123 acres. So we've kind of tried to show the property the best we can. We did submit, local requirements require us to submit a plot plan. I did include it to Jim. We have a full survey of the property. The owners have supplied that, and Jim has it in the folder. And it is stamped by a registered land surveyor. So what we're just trying to do is show it where we are on the large parcel. And there was a question about making sure we're 10 feet off with any grading or any kind of system component or something like that. That's why we put that line there.
Okay.
Technically, this is like the end of the town road. This turns into a cart path that goes over the hayfield. So the plows come here, and then they back up in here and come out.
Okay. So then does this parcel like back up against some conservation area or? Like way over
okay.
on
I think
that
way
side?
down here.
Yeah, okay, it's
If
still
this
way-
is, say this is Route 2 here, then it's down here, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, my backside backs up against the former, oh no, the name sakes, the town just bought her land. She has horses, and then a part of it abuts the land that goes over the water tower.
Any questions from the board?
I have no question,
No.
but matter of fact, if you want to,
Yeah,
If you-
I've been out there, just, that's a beautiful road.
Mm,
Did you
thank
do
you.
all those, did you do all the stone walls?
My brother-in-law who lives across the street, he did, he spent a couple summers, he tore the faces
Yeah.
off all his stone walls and rebuilt them,
Yeah,
they're
they're
gorgeous.
beautiful.
I agree.
With 100 and some odd acres, can you put it anywhere, or why does it have to be right
Well,
here? when-
what we're
and
trying to
looking for
do
a
is
variance?
preserve, because we don't know what will transpire in the future with the land, and we want to keep the septic, due to maintenance reasons and stuff, as close to the house as possible. You know, and obviously, meet the 100-foot well offset. But typically, what we find, even I as a designer, and when I talk to other approving authorities, sometimes when you put the system way far from the house, or there's a problem, nobody notices it, it will flow over. So it's been common practice that we try to keep all the facilities closest to the structure and meet the regulations the best we can.
Like I mentioned, as soon as you get around here, the hills start going back up. So this is, you know, gravity feed. If we go too far from here, now you're starting to have to add installed pumps and
And then
things of that
there's
nature.
also a maintenance issue with, I think they hay the fields also, so I don't want to have a
Want
system
something.
out there and.
so you're,
Heavy equipment running
I'm
around.
the
I don't want
engineer.
to piss
He's
off
the
Danny
property
Pickard.
owner.
Is that
I'm already
his
cutting
hayfield?
into his hayfield.
may I say
What do you do with the
something?
cesspool when it's all done?
We decommission it, means pump it down for its last time, which is in Title V, and crush and fill it.
Yeah,
That's nowhere near this.
The cesspool is closer to the house, actually,
It's right about here.
right up off the edge of the driveway.
So you're not gonna, thank you, Mr. Chairman. In other words, the cesspool is there now, am I correct?
Yes, we're
And
gonna
you're gonna
upgrade it
upgrade
to
to
a full
a
compliant.
compliance with a septic system.
Yes.
What are you gonna do with the cesspool? You gonna leave it
We're
there for
going to
emergency?
decommission it with the Board of Health. Jim Griffey will come out and do an inspection of the
Okay.
decommissioning, which simply means we will pump it down for its last time,
Right.
crush and fill it. It's
Okay.
actually a bunch of field stone. It's very old.
Right. Well, I have no problem, Mr. Chairman.
All right, just quickly, Jim's comments. The owner of this property has been experiencing issues with the existing on-site sewage disposal system, and based on high seasonal water table, noted that during testing would be difficult. It would be likely to cause the existing system to fail. Soil testing was conducted, and the system was designed to maintain the offset to the on-site well. In order to maintain the gravity systems, the applicant is seeking reduction in the groundwater offset for the leaching area, and that's the 4 to the
Yeah, 3. yes.
I don't have an issue with the reduction. All wells are more than 100 feet from the leaching area, and this property is sparsely developed portion of town. Any abutters here? Okay,
No, about it.
entertain a motion then?
Okay, anyone wants to make a
Yeah,
motion?
I'll move to approve the request for variance
I second it.
for 65 Grimes Lane, reducing the 4-foot offset groundwater required to 3-foot.
Okay,
Thank you.
we have a second?
Have a good day.
Any
Second.
comments or other questions? All right, can I get all in favor of the motion to approve this variance
Aye.
as written, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay,
All right, thank you. Have a good
Thank
night.
It's
Thanks.
funny, as large as it is outside of the town and the Conservation Commission, I think I have 3 abutters.
I'm not surprised.
And one's my brother-in-law across the street.
Good luck.
Yeah,
You take
make sure
care.
you've got that one.
You gotta go check down that road when the lilacs are going
Oh,
Any,
yeah.
excuse me?
Not before the season.
Anybody in the back, would you be kind enough to sign the sheet? There's a sheet there, and if it doesn't have a pen, I'd be very glad to give my pen, and Gino that pen belong to Gino, not to the town, thank
Don't
you.
worry, Gene.
All right, I'd like to open the hearing for 540 Great Road. 540 Great Road.
Uh-oh.
Ready for that?
I didn't know, I'm here for a different one, but I designed the septic for 540 Great Road. I wasn't sure.
It's a continued hearing, so you're from Soils?
Soil
Smith
Smith, yes.
design.
Yeah. So I
Are
might
you
as
ready?
well do it.
Are you ready for
Yes.
it? Or okay,
Yep.
okay.
So I know we're going for a groundwater offset of 1 foot.
So here's 540. All right, hold on, let me, let's just put out the plan so we have that.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So the property owner is not here?
No,
Okay,
he lives in Florida, actually, Dwight Palmer does.
Okay,
Bill
and-
Schost is the one that, he came to the meeting last time. I was under the impression it was approved last time, so I didn't know that it was gonna be talked about tonight, but
so then
We're here,
previously
so-
then, hold on a sec, so previously, then you've sent in again, you've provided to Shelley proof of letters to the abutters? notice
no,
to the
this
abutters?
didn't need a butter notification. The only variances, it was the 12-inch reduction to the separation between bed bottom and groundwater.
Yep.
And also, we did not conduct a perk test, it was too wet, so we had to send a sample to the lab.
Okay.
So those were the 2 local upgrade approvals.
Okay.
And Jim Griffey's all set with the plan. He reviewed it and he's went through his process.
Okay, well, walk us through, I guess, the
Okay.
design and what we're here.
Yeah, and this one, it's an existing 2-bedroom home. It's gonna need a brand-new pump chamber, 1,500-gallon tank first, then pump chamber, and I designed a stone and pipe septic system. Kept all the fill over 10 feet to the boundaries, so it doesn't need the fill within 10 feet, Littleton variance. There is a brook in the back, and I made sure we kept the entire system and fill over 200 feet from the brook, so it's out of the riparian zone. So there's no wetlands issues, everything fits. It's a replacement. They're not adding any bedrooms or anything, we're just strictly taking an old system and making it up to today's code.
How big is the land?
How big? It is 1 acre exactly.
This way I can see a lot of spaces in the back.
Yeah, it's a long lot.
Thank you.
420 feet from the road, from Great Road back.
Do you know why this was continued?
I don't. I thought it was all approved last time. That's what Bill Schultz told me.
It doesn't say here.
He was the Title V inspector and the one sort of
The only way it says-
handling the whole
This one here is
whole
continued.
process.
Yeah, this is no.
I don't remember hearing about
Not
it at all
continue.
last time.
Well, I
Says
think,
everything.
I think the reason why it was continued is, again,
Oh, I see what you're
you
saying.
weren't aware, someone
Because-
wasn't
yeah,
aware
yeah,
that
I
it was
see.
on.
Oh, that's
docket,
probably,
so
that
no
may-
one
because I
showed
don't
up.
I don't
Right,
remember
right.
it. Okay.
So we just continued it.
Oh, okay.
And then Shelley
Right.
said she was gonna re-notify you about it.
I see. So I talked to Bill and I thought he said he was here and everything was good, but either way, as long as we're happy tonight, that's fine.
Yeah, well, certainly even if, if there's local variances that need approval, it still has to come to us, right? So, okay. Any questions, board?
I have no question,
No.
Mr. Chairman.
Where's the existing?
The existing system, the tank, is, you can see the tank,
Oh, I
this
see
box
existing
right here, that's the tank. And then it actually has a stone system, because when I dug this second test pit, we're really close to the edge of it, so part of it overlaps. Part of what will be put in is overlapping some of the old one. I can't tell you the exact size.
Okay, let me just quick, read what Jim provided, his notes. The sewer disposal system for this house has failed to Title V. Soil testing was conducted and a plan for replacement system has been reviewed by this office. Based on the soil testing, a perk test was not conducted. A change of soil was noted too close to the water table and the soil was damp. In lieu of that, then the sieve analysis was performed as allowed by Title V. The applicant is also requesting a reduction in groundwater offset for the leaching area from 4 foot to 3. Granting this will help in the grading of this lot to keep the fill at least 10 feet from lot lines. So those are the two local upgrade approvals. He does not have an issue with that. The area is served by town water, and the results of the sieve analysis seem appropriate for the soil evaluated. If nothing else, can I entertain a motion?
I can make a motion if you want.
Sure.
The applicant is also requesting a reduction of the groundwater offset for the leach field from 4 to 3. Granted, this reduction will help in grading on this lot to keep the fill at least 10 feet from the line.
And I think the other one is actually the perk test, right?
Okay.
Right?
Mhm.
Or in lieu of a perk test, the sieve analysis.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Look upgrade variance for alternative to perk testing 310 CMR 15.104, 310 CMR 15.5.45. 1I, lab test of soil was performed instead of conducting a perk test due to high groundwater, the most restrictive soil there. Thank you so much. They can write a book. We give you the okay.
Second.
A second. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Aye. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
That's all?
Give you this plan.
You don't have anything else?
The next one?
No, he's
I
got
have
next.
another one in Harvard, though.
Yep.
I don't know.
Yep.
gotta wait then.
No, he's next.
Is that next? I can
Yep,
stay right
7:15, opening hearing for 107 Harvard Road.
Oh, you're lucked out, huh?
So this one, we had to notify the abutters because we have fill within 10 feet of the boundary. So there's what we sent and the green card, the letter.
Certified.
Okay. All right, I guess, walk us through it.
Okay. On this site, I went through conservation also, and here's the existing house. There is a brook that starts right near Harvard Road and goes the whole length of the property coming down. And there is also a isolated wetland in the middle where I had put flags in A1 through A7. Now, in trying to get a replacement system here, the house is for sale, it failed to Title V. I first tried digging where the existing system is, and there was about 8 feet of junk fell. It was all stumps, roots, black topsoil. It was absolutely horrible to try to put a system back here.
Excuse me, sir, how big is the land?
How big? It's 1.75 acres.
Big enough?
So
And you're talking about the area that says man-made fill area?
that's right, yeah, that whole area's been filled. It's, you've got a, behind the house, a swimming pool, in-ground, and then a rock wall that's about 6 to 7 feet high. And then the next tier of land, it just, you can tell by looking at it, it's probably 6 to 7 feet higher than anything around it. It was all man-made fill that was
Yeah,
brought
yeah,
in
yeah.
there. And the soil conditions were so horrible, I just couldn't think of putting the system in here, it just wouldn't be right. So,
You put it right in the side.
so we went on the side here,
Yeah.
on this banking, and it's
Oh.
all natural soil there.
Yeah,
It was
nothing wrong with
sand and
that.
gravel, it was really good conditions. My concern was the closest it was to this wetland area, so I went to conservation, explained it to them. They're okay with it. They wanted to get your input before they gave it the final sign-off, which is scheduled for next week. But I ended up going through with Jim Gariffi's review, and I said to Jim, I said, well, there's two choices. I can slide the system down a little to get it 10 feet from the boundary, but that puts it closer to the wetland. He said, why don't you keep it the 6.5 feet that you've got, give a little more protection. And what I did is I put a 40 mil poly barrier right after the 5-foot over dig, so that helps to protect it too. So the system fits right in here nice. It's a Presby system, 50 feet long of pipe. And the variances that I'm asking for, the local upgrade ones, I'll ask those first. One is, you're always supposed to have a system 50 feet from wetlands. We have it 25.5 feet away. So that is 310 CMR 15.4051E. Reduction of system location from isolated wetland. 50 required, 25.5 provided. The second local upgrade approval is a reduction of the 5-foot separation of the bottom of the system to high groundwater. We're requesting a local upgrade for the base of the sand bed to be 48 above. So it's a 12-inch reduction, and this was with a 1-minute perk. So that's why normally you would need 5 feet, we're asking for 4. By doing that, that helps with the breakup fill, helps not cutting as many trees, and it helps with the property line. Because if it's 1 foot higher, then the whole fill on top gets closer to the boundary too.
Okay.
And the local upgrade approval for minimum distance 10 feet to property line, state regulation. We have it 6.5 feet, and that's strictly to get further from the wetland. And the way the ground slopes uphill like that, it blends right in, so it's not creating an issue.
I hate to see that gentleman pay for that pipe from, for existing home all the way to that side. Would you believe how big the pipe is? You can buy a house with that kind of money.
And there's one very difficult place for that pipe too, I can explain later if you want, but. Now, the Littleton variance is the one that you can never have fill within 10 feet of of the boundary line. Well, since the system is 6.5 feet away, the fill covering it will be closer than the 10 feet. So that's the Littleton Board of Health variance we're looking for, is that, and that's the one that prompted us to notify the abutters.
Okay, any abutters here? All right, okay, any comments from the board, questions?
Yeah, there are a lot of variances here. And I'm really uncomfortable with the wetlands offset. So you said that Concom said they were okay with it, but they're waiting for us, which I'm not quite sure why they would do that.
Yeah, it's an isolated wetland is the reason.
Yeah.
It does not flow.
But the regulations are designed for environmental protection, environmental and health protection. And so what we're doing here is taking away a lot of the aspects of that protect, in this case, an environmental resource. So this is a tough one, because I understand that, it's an existing structure, but is there any way that you can do it without reducing that offset from the wetlands? I mean, if we weren't asking for the other requests, then it might be I don't like the offset from the wetlands, to tell you the truth. Especially when you've got a reduction in the distance between the system and the water table. And high water on the site.
Well, I dug other holes,
And I'm
because
kind of surprised that Concom, and I don't know, I don't know what they do, but I think that personally, in this case, at a minimum, I'd want to see the approval from Concom rather than they're waiting for us, because sometimes
it is
that needs to
approved.
be clear.
It really is approved, and I mean, went to a meeting on April 9th, and the only reason it didn't pass that night is we didn't get the DEP approval yet. The DEP approval came the very next morning, April 10th. If it had just been 4 to 5 hours earlier, I would have passed that night. I had met Amy out there, the agent, and she was totally comfortable with it. She looked at all the flags. She said it's really not something we even have to measure from, because it's an isolated wetland. And she was very happy that I kept it as far from the brook as possible.
So maybe, I guess from my perspective, what we would need is something in writing for the file, so that we're complete on this, and to why the decision was made,
So,
at a minimum.
So Jim referred to it in his notes as you have, as an isolated wetlands,
Mhm.
and then he parenthetically said, not Massachusetts wetlands.
Right, that's what DEP, they don't have a jurisdiction on it because it's the isolated one, compared to if it was a BVW that flows into something else.
You're right, okay.
So, originally, when Jim reviewed it, he talked to me about raising the system a foot because of that, and then spoke to Amy from Conservation, and she said to him, no, it's okay, it's not something that DEP has the jurisdiction on with that, so it was a group decision to lower it, to get it to fit better.
Okay, so from my point of view, I would still need something in the file,
Yes, we
written in front of us, before I could vote to approve it.
May I speak?
Sure, go ahead.
If it wasn't what you said, that you received the okay from the DEP, this board will say no. You are very lucky. So you produced that letter and gave it to Shelley. Okay, because whatever happened, the DEP has the last word, and the Board of Health has to comply with. Otherwise, we've been sued. Okay? That's my thoughts.
Yeah, I think
I
we're,
appreciate what she says, but when you mention DEP, I'm in your side. Okay?
well, I think the question at hand is more about Concom, which I'm at odds with the process here, right? I'm with you, I'm a little confused with the process on this. Other questions?
I think I agree. If Concom said it was fine, then we should have that in the records, so we can make a decision.
Well, Dave, do you have any questions or thoughts?
No, I'm on board with Aaron. That was exactly what I was gonna ask about,
Okay,
because
so
I'm
let
concerned
me,
about runoff.
yeah, let me I'll read Jim's notes, and then I'll have a comment. So Jim says the septic system for this house failed Title V. Am I reading the right one? Yes. Soil test was done and a plan for the replacement design. The site presents a number of challenges to a fully compliant sewage disposal system, extensive wetlands, high water table. Stream runs through the property, making it very difficult to locate a leaching area. The designer has maximized the offsets to the isolated, not Massachusetts wetlands, and to the property line. I don't have an issue with the request. The designer made every effort to maximize offsets, and the house is served by town water. So my own question is, given that, is that the best system, not just the location, but the best system that can be designed for that property, and especially within relation to keeping it as isolated as possible with that, from that wetlands?
Yes, yeah, that's why I went with the Presby Enviro Septic, because the, that type of system with the fabric that goes around the pipe and the purification that happens, the testing that they've done up in Stokes, Canada, and at Buzzards Bay, it purifies everything so much better than any other type of system, whether you compare it to Chambers or Stone and Pipe. And that makes me very comfortable with this. That's the reason I went with this, besides the reduction that you get in the size
In the
and
size,
all
right.
that. So it was the perfect system, and I don't see any other place it can go. Like I said, because of this fill here, because of the brook. We did dig over here in this knoll, the soil was great, but you're very close to the brook there, and there was really no good way to get the pipe over. So, to me, it really has to go here. There's more water right near the railroad tracks.
Yep.
So this is positively the best spot for it, and I think the only spot for it. And
And then you, so you mentioned you added an extra poly barrier?
yes, I put a 40 mil poly barrier right after the 5-foot breakout
Yeah.
to help protect the wetland. It's going to force any effluent to go down as opposed to lateral.
And was that after discussions with Concom,
No, it
or?
was just something I wanted to do,
Okay.
knowing that it would be better. for
Or
the
were they
environment.
aware of that as part of the plan?
Yeah, I told them at the meeting on the 9th.
All right, so,
It's still all graded towards the brook. So even if it's going down, it's then hitting groundwater at some point.
Yeah, it's got quite a
To
bit
be-
to
yes,
go
that's-
through
yeah.
on that bank. The bank is sort of sloping, so it's going to have quite a bit of soil to go to before it causes any kind of environmental hazard.
so, in an effort to be efficient for all involved, can we do this with a contingency then on?
I'm not comfortable doing that. I think there's too many moving parts on it. Also, I think, to your point, John, an opinion from Jim, just verifying that he believes this is the best approach and system on it. Would be good to have also for the file.
I thought his comments said that. That's what I heard.
Well, I think that if we voice if we,
Because
Put
now
a
it's like a
question to it.
catch-22, because Conservation wants the Board of Health blessing on this, and I did everything with Conservation, and they're perfect, they're just waiting for this one step. Now, you're saying you don't want to pass it tonight
So,
because of that, it's,
so I personally think while there has to be interplay with the boards, right? We still act in very different functions. Conservation, we're about health, right? Conservation, we're about public health. Conservation's about natural resources. It's cut and dry. Now, you can say, we also have an eye toward conservation, and we do. And I get that. We have an eye toward property value, blah, blah, blah. I get that. But when it comes right down to it, we're about public health. The system fits, the system's right, system's right. Now, I'd like to be a little bit more comfortable with knowing that Conservation Commission is on board with it. I'm not very happy that they kicked it to us first.
Abnormal.
I've seen it before. I don't know why they do that. Make the decision on the basis of their facts, and we'll make the decision on the basis of our facts. We're supposed to be independent boards.
May I suggest something, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
We can say will continue to when the conservation will send us a letter, and when you present the letter of the DEP, and the question will be, okay.
Well, I'd like to make a motion.
He has approved it.
I don't-
Yeah, it's not, it's,
No,
I don't,
no.
it's not DEP.
No,
So-
no, the conservation.
Conservation.
They're
Get-
okay.
Yeah,
Amy's
but no,
fine.
get a letter from them.
So I'd like to make a motion. And I'll read this out for the minutes, but I'm going to make a motion. I'd like to make a motion that we approve the variances requested contingent on the addition of a letter
From the
into the file from the Conservation Commission, that they're on board with this.
It will not take long to make a letter. I can type in 2 minutes.
So I've made a motion.
I second.
And you're making the motion based on the fact that you do believe in, well,
Right.
you've done all your work, and you do believe that's the
Correct.
best location, the only location
Correct.
with
I-
that.
I'm I'm going on what's been presented, Jim's notes,
The motion was
and
made.
how we, and how we've functioned and how the Board of Health has functioned for years on doing these. Why the COMCOM has kicked it over to us, I have no idea. But we don't need to approve or not approve something with their input. We don't.
No, I agree with you.
So,
But
I would like to see it.
but if they're questioning it, what are they waiting on?
Well, that's,
Why-
I don't
that's
know.
the
I
thing-
get-
Well,
so
see, that's
my-
why
it's
I
not-
wouldn't, I don't feel
think we should-
comfortable.
Well, I don't think we should be interpreting what they're saying or not saying. So I think it's efficient and the correct thing to do. So I've made the motion to approve these. And to reflect the minutes, I'll more formally read them out. And we can vote on them. With the contingency, which, by the way, we've done before in this board. Many, many times. And and then we go from there. And if that being captured in minutes, Jim won't sign off on anything at the end of it, until the file is complete.
And on the flip side of that, just looking at this, no input from Concom, I couldn't approve it. Input from Concom, then I would consider approving it. So it goes, it's a double-edged
So
sword.
I don't think it is. I don't think it is. It's nice to take what they say into account, but that's not our job. That's not our remit.
If-
That's a personal feeling in a remit. That's not our remit.
It's very seldom that the chairman makes a motion, but in this particular case, it was made to prove, and that we expect a second, and I will send a second. Okay, only in special occasion, then the chairman of the board will make a motion in some situation, and I made a second.
So,
All in favor?
hold on. I've only got another
I'm helping
hour.
you.
Let me have the process.
I'm helping you. Yeah, I know, I still love you, man.
All right, and I'll more formally state the variance request and the motion. But before I do, any further comments from anybody here? We'll open it up. None, or the board?
What's the difference between, why is it in parentheses, not mass wetlands? What does that mean?
Again, I think because it falls local and
Yeah,
not.
because it's the
state.
isolated,
Yeah. It's not connected to an existing state wetlands,
Okay.
is what it sounds
They
like.
just don't claim it.
yeah.
Okay, so with that, I see your, actually, I've got you, so that's fine. So my motion is that we approve the requested variances and local upgrades as written in the letter dated April 22nd for 107 Harvard. What's the date of that plan?
April 4/22/2018.
And it- for the plan as well dated 4/22.
Revised date.
The state local upgraded requests are 310 CMR 15405, reduction of the 5-foot requirement to 4 foot from groundwater. 310 CMR 15405-1E, reduction of system location setback from wetlands from 50 to 25.5. And 310 CMR 15405-1G, 6.5 to the uphill boundary from a 10-foot. And then the local board variance, regulation 23, fill within 10 feet, system is designed to 6 and 6.5, and with, that we approve with the contingency that a letter or documentation from Conservation Commission that they have signed off and added to the file. There, that's officially read.
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Gino?
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Aye. I'm gonna add into that, sorry, I missed it.
Nope, that's, so is that a
Still was
yes?
thinking yes.
Okay, so motion carried 4-1 on that contingency, but then make sure, follow up with Shelley on the Conservation Commission.
Yes, the 14th, that's when they'll do their final.
Okay.
Sign it at this point, so we'll get the letter right to you.
Okay,
Great, thank you very
excellent.
much.
Thank you.
Anything
Appreciate
else?
it.
Need this back.
No, that's it.
You better leave, huh? Get out of here.
All right.
Have a good day.
Thank you, you too.
All right, thank you. I'd like to open the hearing to 720 Manchester Drive, lots A and B.
Oh, boy. This is a little wet.
You have the butters cards?
Yes.
Notification cards? If I could get those, please. Thank you. All right, go right ahead.
Okay, for the record, my name is Jeff Hannaford, representing the applicant for the construction of 2 new dwellings on Manchester Drive, one on parcel A and one on parcel B. Taking parcel A first, we are asking for 3 variances. 2 of them relate to the well setbacks, and 1 is a setback for the septic system.
Okay.
Taking the well first, as you can see to the rear of the property is where we're locating the well. Also to the rear of the property is an undeveloped paper street known as Norfolk Drive. It's not developed. The proposed well would be 2 feet off that property line. The other well setback is 5 feet, but that property line is parcel B, which is owned by the applicant. So in looking at it, the paper street is 40 feet wide. So the nearest property line from the well to an actual abutter is 42 feet. The requirement is 50 feet from an abutter. So we felt that, considering the paper street's unbuildable, that that was an adequate reason for the variance.
But if the street was there, it'd be 2 foot.
Right,
Yeah.
if it were.
Yep.
The properties on the other side are all developed. So, and it's the end of Norfolk towards Rosewood and the other end towards Manchester are the 2 ends of it.
How big the lots, both of them?
Pardon me?
How big the lots, one and the second?
How big are they? One is 1 acre and one is just under an acre.
Plenty room.
So, we don't see how there's no reason for it to be developed because it wouldn't create any new lots. Once these are developed,
That's it.
basically, that's it, there'd be no reason for it. So we're kind of looking at it as 42 feet from the nearest developed property, or 5 feet from his own property that he'll be developing, and we're in control of locating everything on that site, so we're sure that there isn't any septic system within 100 feet.
Are you gonna cover that on this side?
Pardon me?
You're gonna cover that how, you're just gonna know that it's not, or you're gonna cover that when you talk about parcel B?
Yeah, I'll talk about that on parcel B. We did get the as-built information for the septic systems on the properties on the opposite side of Norfolk, and so we were able to locate where those are, so we know we're 100 feet from those. The only other variance is for fill within 10 feet of a property line. In this case, it's fill within 10 feet of Manchester Drive. Again, it was basically because with the well in the back, there's 2-foot groundwater at this site on both parcels A and B. So both of them are systems in fill. There is some ledge on the property, more to the left as it goes up the hill. So we did extensive testing all through this area and got a profile of it, and the soil profile is such that the deeper soils are down towards the area we're proposing for the development. So with a 2-foot water table, it made sense to put the two septic systems adjacent to each other on either side of the property line. If you're going to fill for one, it didn't seem to make sense to drop the fill to the property line and then bring it back up on the other side. That, since he owns both, it made sense to fill all the way across. So in citing this system to go in parallel with the system on B, we're showing a short retaining wall along Manchester Drive, just to contain the fill so that it doesn't, we maintain an offset of, what we got here, 7 feet from the face of the wall to the right-of-way. And of course, the right-of-way is about 10 feet off of the edge of pavement. So the retaining wall will be about 17 feet back from the actual edge of pavement of the roadway. The system for parcel B, since parcel B is approximately 33,000 square feet, for a 4-bedroom home, and because of the fact that there is a well, it is in a nitrogen-sensitive area by definition. So we are proposing an innovative alternative system, a fast system as opposed to a typical septic tank, as well as an infiltrator-type leach field. So the effluent coming out of that fast system will be treated to a much higher degree than a standard septic tank. We're not asking for any variances from offset to water table or any additional variances to the size of the system based on the fast. It's strictly because it is in a nitrogen-sensitive area. So it is going to produce a cleaner effluent for that situation. As I said, it's a 2-foot water table. It is a very large leaching area because the perk test was 31 minutes an inch. So by Title V, because we were 1 minute an inch over the 30, we had to bump the size of it up to a 40 minute an inch size system. So with that, together with the fast system, there's no question that what we have is an environmentally improved system over a standard septic tank and leach field.
Excuse me, sir, how many
Yes.
bedroom?
4.
Any showers?
In that, in the drawing, are those contour lines off to that side, right? Yeah?
Yep.
What's the slope? What's the grade there?
3 to 1.
That's a 3-1? Okay.
Yep. So we're able to meet the 15 feet and 3 to 1, with the exception of at the street line.
Except at the street.
Yep.
Okay. So let's handle A separately. Does that make sense?
Right,
Any questions about A?
no.
There's a letter attached here.
Yeah, I saw that. I'm assuming that's in a butter, so when we
Yeah.
see if there are other butters here. Any butters here? We've got a bunch. All right, comments from butters?
I'd like Robert Stefanik and 5 Rosewood Road.
Yeah.
Has there been a wetland study?
Yes, we walked the site.
No,
Yeah.
But did you have a study done? Because the Hallstrom property, which is just behind mine, has a wetland, an isolated wetland.
Yeah, there is a low area there,
It
but
is-
it's non-jurisdictional.
It's part of A.
Pardon me?
It's part of Lot A.
Right, but it's non-jurisdictional, it's, it, under the definitions in the Wetland Protection Act, it has to be of a certain size. When DEP was putting the Wetland Protection Act together, this kind of goes back, I happen to be eavesdropping on your previous. They were smart enough to realize that when it comes to an isolated wetlands where there's no inlet flowing in, no outlet flowing out, that they needed to come up with some formula as to how big of a isolated area would be considered significant. You know, if you think of a pond, obviously a pond is large enough, that's significant, it should be protected. But as you get smaller and smaller, at what point do you say that's merely a puddle? We don't need to be involved in issuing approvals for dealing with puddles. So they came up with a formula of if it holds a 1/4 acre foot of water or more, then it is jurisdictional. So we did look at that. As a matter of fact, there was a septic system that was replaced on Rosewood, directly adjacent to that. There was no filing required for that either. So this is consistent with the other work that's been done in that neighborhood, with that
What
area.
happened with that septic system? Is messed up? Is there any repercussion if that septic system fails because of the new ones being put in?
That one, well, yeah, we're down slope of that. I can't see how there'd be any influence
Let me
from.
go back to the wetland. You say you walked it. When we put in our septic system, we had to have an expert come in and did a complete survey.
But it ended up non-jurisdictional, correct?
Yeah,
But what's gonna
but
happen
what
all
did you,
over?
I'm asking you, what did you do for this property? Did you just walk it, or did you have experts come in?
Yes, we had somebody come in and walk it that makes those determinations as
Is
to
there a
whether or not
report on
it's.
that?
Pardon me?
Is there a report that we could see?
No. It's the way you start.
What's gonna happen to the water that drains down off that into that puddle? It's all ledge behind there. There's going to be a bit of a drainage problem if septic systems are put in.
The septic system won't have any
It's
influence on
going to
that.
change the contour. You're going to bring in fill, which is going to change the contour of the water.
There'll be no filling in that area.
So, excuse me, so do me a favor, if you could, show on that for us where the.
There's a low area right in here.
So I think what you were asking, did you have a professional wetland surveyor go out and flag it?
Well, yeah,
Certified professional wetland surveyor?
we asked him if there was any jurisdictional wetlands that we needed to locate.
Who is he?
Mike Bovio.
And he's at PWS? He's professional wetland surveyor?
So, you know, it's the same way we treat every project. You go out and you find these things first. If they're there and it's going to be jurisdictional, then it gets flagged and it becomes part of the overall survey. If it's something that isn't,
No, I
then-
understand, I'm just,
Yeah.
a lot of times, the question was, well, how did you determine whether it was wetland or not?
Right.
That's come up. So has Concom been out there?
not to my knowledge.
So maybe to answer the abutters' questions, it would be a good idea to ask Concom to go look at it.
And where are you guys located, excuse me?
We're
Five
Rosewood.
We're
So
at
you'd
the-
be across the street?
No.
We have the septic system on their side.
Oh,
And we're
okay.
concerned
We're-
about our well water and our septic system.
That's what I was going to question about Brady.
I mean, if you had a professional, there must be a report.
Yeah.
Well, no, there would be a report if he
I
found
got a
something.
report when
When
we
we
did
put
ours.
ours, we had to have a report before we were allowed to put it in.
But you didn't have to file, did you?
No, that's not the point. I'm asking, did you have a professional look at this?
Yes.
You say yes. I'm asking, is there a report?
No.
Okay. So there's no proof that there's not other wetlands in that area? Do I understand?
Or the
Well,
wetlands in effect.
you wouldn't flag it if it wasn't there, so.
Well, but you're telling me that, but I have,
Okay.
you're not providing us
So,
any.
so, all
Noted,
right.
understood, sir.
Yeah, noted.
Understood.
There's a question about the wetlands right now. One further question as I'm looking at plot, you said you have a well,
We do.
and but that is across the street? Across Rosewood?
No,
when I
it's
look at the
across
thing-
Norfolk.
It's across Norfolk.
It's to the, on the plan, it's to the top.
And I'm wondering.
So that's
how-
out, well, that's
how will
outside the
new-
100-foot
How will the
radius.
new wells affect our well water? Is it going to reduce?
What's that?
Will the new wells that are going to be put in going to affect our well water and make it so our water table goes down, or we lose water pressure?
I couldn't tell you, that's outside the remit of us. So that I couldn't even
Where
accurately.
do we go to find out about that?
Water department, light and water?
I would, yeah, start with,
Zoning? I don't know,
they're
planning,
not.
zoning?
I would start with calling our own water department.
But, so I'm not sure, but certainly from a septic system, what I'm looking at here is these wells are outside that 100-foot radius. So from a septic system, just from that, it's fine. It's not gonna, it's certainly not gonna impact the well based on regulations. There is a question about these wetlands.
I have another question about these setback distances. They're extreme. 50 feet required, 5 proposed, 50 feet required, 2 proposed,
Yep.
parcel A.
So I think that's another question we certainly will get to. But I do want to move on
Okay.
to other abutters, because we have a number of here. I think, are there any questions for others?
For A or both?
Why don't we start with A? We're just, you okay with A? Are you
Yeah, I'm
more
okay with
concerned
B.
about B? Okay. Well, that'll be another. Anybody else here that have questions about A? Okay. Given this, more questions or comments from the board?
Well, I also did have a concern about the setbacks. That is not just a give or take of a little bit of space. From 50 to 5 and 50 to 2.
Right.
Setbacks we have them black and white for a reason, you know, so if we're gonna give a variance, it's gotta be a small variance or something it's the same thing with groundwaters, that is changing the rule, changing our regulation if we do that. That's
Well,
setting
no,
a precedent.
It's not
also for
changing it,
people.
it's allowing a variance. That's very different. We're not changing.
You're correct, I misspoke.
And whether you,
but-
whether you approve or in favor of granting variances is another thing, but we're not changing we're not
I
changing
get that.
rules.
So, the look of if
It's
we would
ignoring
approve
the
that, it would.
intent.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
So, no, you're right, I misspoke on that one, but that is, I would not approve, I do not approve of that much of a variance, that is an extreme change. It's,
Chairman. Let him finish, go ahead.
I've said my piece.
Okay. Go ahead.
Joe Cataldo, 41 Robinson Road. I own these 2 lots. When I came before you last meeting, I had told you, and I know it was just a preliminary discussion, that I had conversation with the water department about bringing water down Rosewood in lieu of drilling wells, because I didn't want to drill wells. And the cost of bringing the water down was over $50,000, excluding drilling and blasting ledge. So it is unaffordable and uneconomical to have to be able to bring the water down. That is my preference. So that is why we are asking you for the variance to drill the well.
Okay. So,
And-
now I've missed, okay. Other questions, because I want to get to Jim's notes.
Well,
For the- oh, that doesn't.
What are you waiting
So, since he owns this one already, that's why we felt it's really a variance to himself, not to a separate abutter. And as far as
Could you
the
speak up,
2-foot,
please?
the 5-foot is to parcel B, which he already owned. So it's more or less a variance to himself, a property of his own. The 2-foot is to the paper street. So the nearest abutter is actually this line, which is then 42.
117,
Yeah. So I know they sound awful close, but when you look at the situation, they're not as bad as they
You know, I
sound.
think my concern is that they might be both your lots now, but they're not going to be at some point.
That's
And-
Right,
and
but-
then- And so, when we're approving something, it's not just for the current owner, it's, you know, whatever is approved is left for the next owner, and it's our job to make sure they're not left with something that is inconsistent with our,
If I
Right.
could-
Our
Fortunately,
regulations.
we've got adequate space for reserve areas for these septic systems. As a matter of fact, Jim had a concern about the reserve area on parcel B, so I actually did a separate plan for him to show how that would grade out. You know, as opposed to some of the septic repairs that you see that aren't providing reserve areas. We've got reserve areas that we've worked out with Neshoba, and the 100-foot well arcs that we're showing are far enough away from not only the active ones we're proposing, but the reserve for the future.
I agree with you in that if we've got regulations and they're there for a reason, if they're there, we're supposed to be taking a look at them.
Oh, I understand
And they have to
that.
have a really good reason, and a new build is not typically, in my mind, and I think consistently with most of our votes, a new build is not a good enough reason. And I'm sorry to say that, but
Well, you know, every applicant has, you know, the right to come in and ask.
oh, sure.
And I think the variance process is there for those situations that you can't foresee, and it's hard to write a regulations that's going to cover every situation every time and never see a need for variance. So I think sometimes they are warranted. I'm not quite sure what the 50-foot setback is there for. I'm assuming that it has to do with protecting the well, but since the minimum setback for a septic system is 100, you know, we're talking about 50 feet from a property line. That doesn't mean that the entire 100-foot radius is going to be contained on that property, even if you meet the 50. So my job to answer on a variance is to provide something of equal or superior environmental protection. For the 50 feet, I'm not sure what the basis is to begin with to show equal or superior, but I can show you that the 100-foot protective radius for these wells contains no septic systems, and everything else is developed around it, so I don't see that there's any harm in asking for these variances, because I think we've tried to cover all situations.
Go ahead.
It's one of the wells here, right? This is the smaller one. We can use that if you want to. There's your 100-foot radius, right, on your well, and the other well is here?
No.
Sorry, so let's go on this one then, just to base off. So this is the well. You still have this much space to move this in to get away from the property line.
Well, that's where the septic system is for B.
You gotta get away from the septic
Here,
system.
Yeah.
right? Right?
Well, it
That'd
takes up
be-
more area than that. That's what I had to go over with Jim.
Oh, well, we don't see that one then, or we?
Well, that's
Yeah,
next,
it's on-
that's the
That's right,
next
that's the next.
discussion.
Yeah, I can show you on that one that I did.
Well,
had
I
to-
can see it.
Yeah.
I can see where your radius now is saying it's coming right, literally almost right on it.
Yep. That's why Jim had asked me to do the separate plan for B, is he wanted to ensure that not only would the system fit, but he wanted to see how it would grade out afterwards. So,
And the well won't work over here.
Right,
Because of the
because
grade.
of this septic. I mean, he already has his own well within 100 feet of his septic. So we wanted to make sure ours wasn't.
And part of the thing is that it's, again, it's precedent setting. So,
Precedents are really only set based on the site itself, not the decision.
well, I think it's got some precedent setting in it. I mean, we try to be consistent.
I think
Well,
that, yeah,
yeah.
the precedence is how we make the decision, as much as anything, not necessarily the decision. So there was one abutter that sent in a letter, and I just
Oh,
know, I'll read the abutter's letter, because I don't think this abutter is here. Francis Shui. Since they sent in a letter, I'll just read. Letter dated May 4th to the Board of Health. Request for variances by Cataldo Landscaping and Construction is deficient for the following reasons. Developers have failed to provide any and all necessity, including economic, for requested variances. Proposed parcels are of sufficient size to obviate all and any need for variances. I'm opposed to all and any variances for the above reasons. Respectfully, Francis Sway. So that's the abutters. Let me read, just so we can move this along, let me read Jim's notes, which for this was kind of extensive, and actually I followed up Jim with an email to Jim to make sure I understood what he was getting at, because it wasn't clear. And I'll read that. So the applicant, this is for Lot A. We'll get to Lot B in a second. Lot A, Manchester Drive, the applicant would like to construct a new house on this lot. This is considered new construction for the purpose of Title V. The lot presents challenges to the installation of a septic system and well in full compliance with local regs. Lot geometry is 1, high seasonal water table, large perk rate. Because the lot is served by a well and a septic system, and the applicant wants to build a 4-bedroom house on the lot that is less than 40,000 square foot, he is providing a treatment tank instead of a conventional septic tank. The applicant is looking for relief from local regs, well and septic offsets. The Board of Health generally include property line offsets in the well regs to prevent the installation of spite wells. In your case, your regs require 50 feet, the applicant looking to provide just 2. I don't believe the proposed well location will affect the abutter's ability to repair or replace their septic system. The 2 abutting properties already have replaced their systems. The location of the leaching area was determined by the soil testing. Because of the perk rate, the water table of the leaching area will be large and above grade, requiring fill to be placed over the lot line to the west and within 10 foot of the lot line of the road. I don't believe the applicant will affect the butters with the proposed grading. The applicant owns the lot to the west and is grading the 2 at the same time using a retaining wall and grading along the street to avoid drainage issues. So I actually sent them a note and said, well, I'm not sure I see what you're getting at and/or what your recommendation is. I thought it was a little bit gray. So I asked him to clarify, because it seemed like he was saying he was fine with it, but he never came out saying. Jim typically comes out and gives that opinion, if he is. So he said, from a public health standpoint, I don't have a problem with the variance request for Lot A. All the wells and septic systems are the proper distance from one another. The applicant is asking for pretty significant reduction in the well offset to the property line. I don't have an issue with that request because I don't believe the well location will negatively impact property rights of the abutting properties. Since this is new construction, so this gets at exactly what Aaron's saying. It says it's exactly what we're struggling with seemingly every week. Since this is new construction and without the variance, the lot may not be buildable. I think it's important the minutes reflect the rationale for granting the variance, as this will help the board navigate the request next time. So, so the issue's then. So abutters brought up what I think is a pretty interesting thing that wasn't captured. Now, I get the how do you know it's not there, and do you have to look for something that's not there, but we know something's there. So has this been evaluated? Does this truly fit, the definition? So that's an interesting thing, although it's not part of this variance requesting an offsite from that, which is 50.
What, the wetlands? Is that
The
what you're saying?
the isolated wetlands. But what's the distance anyway? That's why I asked if you could show it to me on the plot. what would be the setback from the approximate?
Were they guessing at the?
I get it, but if we're,
Yeah, if you
if
want
it's
to.
really darn close, then it doesn't,
Yeah.
you know, it's different than if it's spinning distance away from the
Mm-hmm.
setback, right?
You mean,
So
Excuse
if you
me.
know,
Let him
I would-
finish.
We have a
we
plan
have, our plan where that wetland, isolated wetland is marked.
that might help, if you could bring that up.
You know, also, I wonder what this would look like if you were doing a three-bedroom house. You know, if maybe this isn't a four-bedroom lot.
This is,
It would,
Hold on, let's do one thing at a time. It's a question I had as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
all right, this is their parcel A, and that's the wetland. This is my septic
Okay,
system.
so here's the isolated wetland, here's Rosewood.
And Norfolk.
Norfolk.
That's, okay,
And there, the
Yeah.
land in question goes this direction.
right, so here, what's that relation to your drawing?
Well, this is, that's
That would be-
That's 100
So
feet.
that's,
right in this area.
so that's in this corner, maybe over here?
Well, there's the lot, this lot line,
Right.
so it would start right about there and go down to the street.
All right, and it needs to be 50 foot, is that right?
I think so.
That's about 80.
Right, okay. I mean, so I get the concern, but I don't, I'm not, in my opinion, I'm not entirely sure it's relevant to this. Because I think it's more than sufficient away for
Yeah.
that. Okay, Aaron, sorry, I just wanted
No, that
to
was-
put a bow on that.
Yeah,
Erin, what
So,
was
so
your-
that is a, so her question was about
Oh, that's,
size of the house, and number
Yeah.
of bedrooms. If it was a three-bedroom, and it's not, again, I don't think it's necessarily our job to dictate
Right.
size of a house, but when it does impact variances, and it's a question, if it was a three-bedroom house, would it change anything?
it would reduce, it's a direct proportion.
Right.
So if you have 4 bedrooms and you want to eliminate one, you're eliminating 25%.
It wouldn't change the well location, though,
No.
would it?
No.
No, so we'd still be looking at that 50 to 2 foot, or 50 to 42, however
Right,
you
the
want
well is-
however you want to
yeah.
calculate. So that takes that one out. It's more about, what was the other one? The other is the distance of property line.
Right.
From 50 to 5, this would make it,
That's his own property.
Oh, no.
Oh,
You're
right.
still talking about the well, right?
yeah, I'm
Okay.
sorry. So, I see, it's filled to 10 foot of property line.
Right.
But would that change it, the distance?
If we eliminated a bedroom,
Yeah, I'm just, then the system needs to be smaller.
I would tend to say no, and the reason I'm saying that is because my original design was 4 bedrooms. I submitted it to Jim, and I didn't have the fill within 10 feet of Manchester Drive. But because the system was slid back, now if we go to 3 bedrooms, I could take my 25% off on the Manchester Drive end. But that would put me in the same situation as if I just slid the whole thing backwards. And Jim's comment to me on that original design was, he didn't feel that the testing was adequate if we did slide it back. He would want more testing done on the back side,
so just some more test pits?
and perk test.
Oh, okay, so that's, I'm just from my own context.
Yeah.
Trying to get some context for it.
Right.
So-
So when I talked to Jim, I said, well, if I orientate the leach field this way, does it meet the definition of having testing within the right proximity? And he said it did. The problem why we decided to go this route is with the water tables the way they are out there. Doing a test pit doesn't bother me. We know what the water tables are, we know what the soils are. But another perk test means we have to wait until the area is dry enough physically run the perk test. And out here, you're talking about probably midsummer sometime. So-
And that's part of the reason it's of concern, really, that if it's wet like that, then you have to be careful.
Well, we know it's wet. For that,
But what
it's
I mean-
simply raising the system up to meet that offset.
Yeah,
So that we've dealt with,
but it's
that we know.
better to, you know, if we can come closer to the regulations or get away from all or some of the variances by redesigning, then that's an option, whether, you know, it's scheduled, it's,
Well, for the 10 feet, that, to me, especially where it's towards the street and not in a butter,
but you said
But
if
it-
you did some more testing, you could push it back, possibly.
possibly, but, we're talking months away,
Right.
right? And we've done extensive testing already. So, if we've got testing we can utilize, and all we're talking about is 3 feet on a variance, then it didn't seem that it was worth waiting and just to come up with the same result to move back 3 feet.
All right, what do we got?
I
Go ahead.
got a question about the well. It's maybe silly. Is there any chance that you can share a well, like both properties share a well? Would that just be too much drain on the
Well,
well?
yeah, then you get into covenant agreements between two parties. You would need, if it's anything like a shared septic system,
That was another question, but it's not
yeah,
an issue.
I've dealt with shared septic systems, and the problem with those are, it's not in the design or the construction, it's in the legal agreement between two parties. I know on shared septic systems, DEP requires some sort of funding mechanism, whether it's an insurance policy or a passbook, where both parties have to put money in.
Doesn't work, it doesn't.
It's,
Well, that's what they're doing.
right, and then
that's
if
what they're
somebody
doing on
says,
Great Road.
I don't want to do it,
Yeah.
then the other party's left alone.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that just compounds rather than solves a problem, it adds more.
You can
to
share
it.
the septic system. and
They're
I
living
will.
pretty close to each other, so they better get along, actually.
Right, right. Mr. Chairman, I have no problem.
Do we have any other comments? Is there a motion we want to entertain?
Just to
Go ahead.
recap, that we don't have the information that I think that the butters or people across the street are asking for in the wetland. And I feel uncomfortable approving variances for new builds, especially in this case where there are some windows of opportunity that might be able to be explored.
So, we can, if someone
We
wants to make a motion,
I would make a motion if Jamie Garaffi will send us a letter, even though he may comment there. That way the board will be more comfortable.
what's the letter?
The letter stating that whatever the gentleman showed and spoke to Jimmy Garaffi about the plan, that he will have no problem with it.
I think Jim's notes
I read it, I
reflect
know,
that,
I know.
that discussion.
But if there is any objection with the board, maybe they feel more comfortable. I have no problem, because I understand, I've been on the board too long, I understand what you're doing, and you do your best. Not because I know the location and I know the people they're dealing with, it's because you came here honestly and you expressed your view. I have no problem with it. It's up to the board now to make a decision.
So do we have a motion? All right, well,
For it. I'm not for approval, so I'm not gonna make a motion for approving.
is anybody making a motion?
I can make a motion. Give me the papers.
So there's your,
Give me the right paper here.
I see all the work is correct, but
I'm gonna read a book now.
others are gonna have trouble too.
The Town of Littleton Board of Health, third floor, Sherrick Street, Municipal Court, 37 Sherrick Street, P.O. Box 1305, Littleton, Mass. 01460. Parcel 8, Manchester Drive, board members, on behalf of our client Cataldo Landscape Construction, we are hereby requesting the following variance for the above referenced site. The reason for the hearing is a variance related to location of proposal well for a single-family home at the above reference location. The variants are as follows. Well, chapter 226-6, location requirement. Setback distance to property line, 50 feet required, 5 feet proposal. Setback distance to private way, 50 feet required, 2 feet proposal. The variance to the Little Board of Health regulation as follows. Requirement for subsurface disposal of sanitary, the Italian language is much better. A regular 27 field requirement. No field allowed with 10 feet of property line. Field proposal with 10 feet of the right of way. The reason for the variance related to the limit area on the side. The property line in question are the rear and left side line. The abutter lot to the left is also owned by the applicant. The rear property line defined 40 feet wide paved street. Therefore, the actual distance to the abutter property on the opposite side of the paved street is 42 feet. If you have any question, please do not hesitate to contact us. I approve.
So you're making a motion that we approve
Correct.
the variances as requested?
Correct.
Okay, so I'll state that. Further discussion? I'll just add to the discussion that, well, first, before further discussion is, do I have a second? I second the motion as read and as written. So, and just the reason why, because I think it's not the requests, it's not the variances we grant, it's how we get to it is more important than the variance itself and how it's requested, is one, the paper street. So I think that takes it from 50 to 42, and now we're within spitting distance, and that's fine. The fill to the property line, given two properties are being developed at the same time and they're co-owned, being and developed by the same, I think that mitigates that risk. So I'm fine with that. The isolated wetlands, I understand what you're saying, and while we don't have exact, we're well beyond 50 feet, so I don't think it even takes it into consideration. So those, and that wasn't even part of a variance request. Even if we knew exactly where it was, it wouldn't be part of a variance request. So I'm just putting that out there regardless of how we vote today so that people understand how we move through and get this, because I don't think that's captured very well, and Erin has made that point. She's been very correct about that. So I second the motion. Other discussions or comments?
And so that
Go ahead.
addresses the septic, but what about the well?
Well, the well was the 2-foot.
Property
right?
lines.
And we've already.
Oh, okay.
Paper Street.
Right,
Yeah.
Paper
Yeah.
Street, okay.
Who did you say I go to see about the water table? Because what happens if our well runs dry all of a sudden with two other wells right in the area?
I don't know. I don't know.
I
It's
would
outside
suggest
South-
call the
Yeah.
Littleton Water,
Littleton Water Supply.
and they will be able to direct you, if not have answers to most of your questions.
But also, I'm not a well digger or anything like that, but it seems like you have wetlands, so what are the chances of wells running dry?
Yeah, you can
No.
still have it.
Ken?
Yeah, you can.
I mean, you
Wells are
can, I'm
drilled.
not saying it's going to, but.
Right. They're drilled wells into
Mr.
bedrock,
Chairman.
so they don't deal with the same groundwater
One minute,
along the
please.
lines.
Excuse me, you're going to build a wall to it, am I correct? It's going to be a wall
Yep,
in both sides, right?
Go ahead.
Both of them.
We drilled a
just on the
well
front.
Right.
across the street at 15 Manchester Drive, which we built a home there last year. That well is 7 feet from the property line, and it didn't require a variance because it was a repair. We bought a house that we tore down. We had a 4-bedroom septic system, on 15,000 square feet. We drilled a well. The well was 50 gallons a minute, and we hit water 8 feet down. So I doubt very much that by us drilling these wells in that water table, we're going to cause a well to run dry. As a matter of fact, there was so much water coming out of that well, even when the pump wasn't running, it was pushing out water, so we had to seal it and cap it mechanically so the water would stop bubbling out onto Manchester Drive. So, just a point of reference, 100 feet away, plenty of water.
Thank you.
Okay, before we take a vote on the motion as it's read and seconded, any other comments? All right, well, I don't remember what the motion is. All right, all in favor of the motion as read, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
No?
No.
Motion carries for Lot A, 3-2. Okay. Lot B. Thank goodness 73 Hartwell's continuing.
Okay, for Lot B, we,
Did we need separate notices to abutters on those, or is it the same abutters?
it's the
It's all
same
the same,
abutters.
right?
They all got the same
Okay,
notices.
okay.
The variance request for B is fill within 10 feet of the property line. This
Is that the shared property line?
Right.
Okay.
The property line is here, and so the idea of the fill is, for this leaching area, is going to go over this corner here of parcel A. For the reserve area here, we've created an easement. Again, Jim was a little concerned, it is a busy plan, a lot went into this design. So he was not as concerned about the active area that'll be built now, because there won't be that much fill crossing over the property lines to blend in, but he was concerned what happens when 30 years down the line or so, if this fails, the reserve area has to be used. What happens? What's it look like? So we did another plan showing how that grading would come into play, and that fill easement did contain it, and he was satisfied with that. So again, it's mainly because of the existing grades, groundwater table, where we got the adequate soil testing, where we placed the system. In order to put the fill in, it just made sense, since he owned both, to grade across, blend it all in together, and so that's why we're asking for that variance.
And that easement goes into that Lot A then, or that you said?
There's a variance on parcel
Yeah.
B, parcel A for the benefit of parcel B.
Right, right.
And where's the variance? What is the variance say?
It's for filling.
I'm sorry, the easement, sorry. The easement.
What-
You said there's an easement?
Right, a fill easement.
A fill easement, okay.
Yep. So what that does is, like I said, it's on parcel A for the benefit of B, so the owner of B will be assured, because it'll be part of the recording of the deed, that they have an easement that they can utilize should they need to for their.
Is it delineated?
Yep.
Yeah. I was just wondering, like,
Could you show it on the
where
plan?
it
I
is.
guess is what Aaron's asking.
This is the lot line here, and the easement is shown dashed here.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
Right here.
Yep.
So you're filling over the easement there? Is that
Well,
last contour?
there's fill for this lot already.
Oh, okay.
Yep, but the fill for this system is right in here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The easement is basically so there's fill for a reserve area should the system fail.
Right.
And a future owner can then actually do the work. Whoever owns A, when they buy A, it'll be in the deed that there's an easement there. And so
Yeah.
that protects B.
Right.
And A buys something with the knowledge that there's an easement there, because it's.
Right, Jim was very particular about it, because even though we're intending to fill for parcel A, so from that standpoint, B wouldn't need the fill easement, because the fill's gonna be put in place for the septic and driveway for A. But Jim said, well, what if the owner, for whatever reason, wanted to dig up his driveway and lower it? Then parcel B would be compromised, because that fill that he was counting on is now no longer there. So we put the easement in to ensure that B had control of that area. But in all reality, it'll be filled for the construction of A anyway. So he probably will never need to exercise having to add fill, not parcel B, but he'll have legal control over it to make sure that it's there.
Questions from the board?
4-bedroom?
Yes, it is
How big
40,000.
is it? 40,000, the same lot as the other one?
It's larger than the other one, so it's not, even though it is nitrogen sensitive, it does meet the
The
requirements. same
same situation as the first one.
We don't need the fast system for this because it is 40,000 square feet.
So I have no problem.
Questions, Aaron, or comments?
Yeah, so you don't need a variance for the well, right?
No,
Okay. So,
Ms. Phil?
it's just the fill for the, over the common lot line.
yeah.
And they're gonna put a wall too, right? On the front?
A wall?
Wall, little-
No,
Only on the first one.
right.
Okay. Double checking.
Okay.
I don't wanna catch you in the light.
So we have some abutters here. Questions or thoughts? Go ahead, please.
I'm in a butter to the west,
And name and address?
Joe Bonfizio. The property that I own is at 0 Norfolk Drive, which is GL 27.
Okay.
And I'm concerned with how close this is to my property line. I'm also kind of surprised that you read Frances Shuey's letter for parcel B, because she's in a butter to A, is what, I mean, for parcel A, because she's in a butter to B.
She wrote for with respect to parcel A and B on her note.
Yeah, parcel B, she's in a butter to me on B.
Okay, I just go with what the note said.
Yeah, we've actually talked about this on the phone. She's very concerned as well as I am that this will pretty much make our land useless. This is gonna go pretty close to the property line. So I'm opposed to it as well.
Could you show us where your property is on the plan, and then the distance between the...
Yes. It's not on that map.
Here it is. So his property is here at the U.
Right.
Okay, and where's Francis' property?
This.
Okay, what's noted as Kathy.
Yeah, it's her daughter or
Yeah.
something like that.
So this is your property here?
Right, right. And this is awful close to that property line.
So where's your system on this?
The septic system's over
Would
here,
be over here,
Yeah.
and the house here,
in the house there.
What's over here?
nothing.
What's that?
Nothing.
What's that?
That's just notes the setbacks, I believe, right?
Right.
Yeah, it does endanger your property.
That's.
There's
pretty
nothing proposed in this area.
So this setback, that's just a
That's
A
a
regulation
zoning
defined
zoning
zoning.
setback.
You know
law.
what I mean?
This is,
build.
There's nothing, he's not proposing to build something, that's not an outline of a house or a structure or
Okay.
even a system.
See
That's
the-
just noting where the setback is.
When
This
I looked
corner?
at this, I seen it.
Yeah,
is
Seen
this
it before.
corner.
okay.
So everything's.
Okay, I didn't have this map.
Right.
Okay, so you're.
Well, then I can
what,
see your confusion on
a
that.
couple of 100 feet away from my property line with that house?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
40, 60, 80. over
You
here.
feel better now?
Is that,
Well,
is
no,
that clarifying?
I mean, as an abutter, I really am opposed to that kind of development out there, but I don't know
From,
whether
well,
that
hold
carries
on,
any
hold on,
weight.
from what perspective?
Lowering my property value.
Okay, what,
What's that?
okay, well, again, that's outside the remit from
Where-
us. I
Okay,
guess that's planning board or whatever, I mean, I'm not,
okay.
I don't mean to sound insensitive to it, but it's not there's nothing the Board of Health, even if I felt that was the
Okay,
case or thought that's the case, there's not much we could do about that. That's a planning and zoning issue.
Okay.
But,
May I say something?
go ahead.
Your property, it does not lose value, remember that. Because when you see a home like that being built, your property will gain value. So if you want to build something, you come in front of us. If somebody wants to buy it, they will pay a lot of money for the land.
Well, it's not buildable because it's too small. It is grandfathered, but I would never.
Nevertheless, how big is it? Even if it's a quarter of an acre, you can still build a small house.
It's no
So
smaller than
don't worry
that.
about 2 bedrooms. Your land is valuable, so when you go home, you say, you know, Gino from Venice, thank you for the advice. You're never gonna lose
That's
value
a
on the
legal
land.
binding.
I went through that.
You know,
I just want you to smile when you
Can I
go.
just ask a question?
Sure, absolutely.
And I wanted to say, Mr. Chairman, I wanted to say, because they were so kind enough, I came here at 6:30 and they were sitting there, they came from New Hampshire. They waited 2 hours just to hear Mr. John here. So
Yeah.
thank you for staying and have a safe, go home, be safe, okay?
Thanks.
You take care, I'll see you later. I will see you eventually.
Gina.
Go ahead.
Where is the well for parcel B gonna be?
over here.
Yeah. It's right here.
Yeah, but in relationship to the other lots.
Oh, middle of, it's like, yeah,
Yeah, okay, all right.
right where it says the words new parcel.
Other questions?
No.
Let me read Jim's notes. For Lot B, Manchester Drive, the applicant would like to construct a new home on this lot, and though there is currently a structure located,
It seems I know everybody, I have no idea.
the site, the proposed work would be considered new construction. A significant portion of the lot was found to have ledge based on soil testing conducted, which limited area for the placement of the system. The site has a high seasonal water table, which would cause proposed leaching area to be above grade, and along with the limited area suitable for the leaching area will cause necessary system grading to go across the lines that it shares with A. The lots are to be graded together. I don't have an issue with your requested variance, and I don't believe it will affect the abutters. This lot otherwise complies with Title V and regulations. So the question is really about the variance on fill within 10 feet of the property lines. Other questions, or is there a, go ahead.
And I guess it goes back to parcel A. Where is the reserve, where's the space for the reserve on A? Because we have it on B.
A is, well, it's downslope of the primary.
Over
This
here.
direction, I'm guessing.
Well,
Right here?
Yeah.
Or is it this way?
No, it's this one.
It's this one, it's
Right
over here.
Okay.
Because if he goes the other way, that's into that little,
That's what I
Yeah,
thought.
yeah.
little wetland area.
All right. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to entertain
Thank you.
as
Save me, I need that extra.
variance
area.
as written and stated in document.
Well, that was succinct.
Not trying Gino's tactic.
No,
Start with the
not?
date
All
and
right.
Second.
All right, Gino seconds it. Any other comments? All right, all in favor of the motion as written and stated, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. That closes
Thank you
that
for
hearing.
coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll go home and relax, have a beer.
All right. 22 Cricket Lane.
Oh, yeah.
I'd like to open the hearing for that.
Good night.
Thank you.
Yes, this is continued.
Good night, thank you.
Good night.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember, give us
I'll
a
go over it
2-minute
again,
quick, because I'm
sure.
trying to remember what this one is, yeah.
I'm Kirk Fitzpatrick with Civil Solutions. I'm here on behalf of Karen McDonald, property 22 Cricket Lane. Basically, a proposed upgrade design for the existing two-bedroom dwelling. Right now, it's got a small system off to the side of the house here that's in failure, won't pass the Title V inspection, so we did a test hole further up the slope. This area is about Spectacle Pond, so it's all sand and gravel.
Oh, now I remember. Okay.
So, when we met previously, we believed the well was down here, pretty close to this retaining wall along the edge of the pond, and Jim had requested we get the well water analysis. So, we got the well tested, and we also, when Skilling's went out to test the water, we asked them to confirm the location and give us any data they could, because we were trying to find out what type of well it was. So, for this type of well, to find it, it doesn't have anything above grade. They cut the line inside of the house, and they send a tracer out the line to try to locate the well. Basically, where it stops is where they try to determine if the well is there. So basically, when they put the tracer out, it went out 45 feet, which is well past the house, and there's a good chance it's in the pond.
That's a heck of a well. That ain't never drying
They're
up.
never gonna run out of water.
So, the well water analysis actually came back fairly decent. It had some nitrates in it, but it did not have any total coliform. So this is either, what was there was either drawing out of the pond, or it's possible it's a point that was put in when the pond was at a lower elevation. But in any case, it's not a viable option for a well. So with that taken into consideration, we have a proposed new well shown down here in the corner of the property, in general same vicinity as where we thought the well was previously. It's not possible to get a drilled well on this site just because of the slope of the land. I mean, this is, there's sections of this slope, it's a 2-to-1 slope, you'd never get a drill rig on this site. But there's a company that actually has a smaller
I live over there.
trailer.
It drops off.
Yes, so they have a rig on a smaller trail, and they can either pound in a point or put in a gravel back well. Jim's actually been made aware of that, and we've talked about it, and he was okay with what we have proposed. And they've been out to the site, and they can get their equipment down there to install the well. But because it's gonna be either gravel pack or point well, it'll be drawing, won't be into bedrocks, it'll be drawing off surface water. As such, we did redesign the system, incorporating advanced treatment through the use of the JET J500, which is basically a small package treatment plant. It's got an aerator, it's got an operation and maintenance contract with it. It'll be sampled twice a year. They come out and inspect to make sure it's functioning properly and doing what it's supposed to clarify the liquid before it gets sent out to the pump chamber. The pump chamber then pump it up to the field, and then as part of the requirement with the use of IA technology, the field is required to be pressure dosed. So instead of having a distribution box flowing by gravity into the stone and just trickling down into the ground, this system is pressurized through, I think it's 1.25 inch laterals. So basically the entire piping in the system goes under pressure, and it shoots out little like 1/4 inch perforations in those pipes. So you get very equal distribution over a larger area. So with that being said, it still requires quite a few variances.
Yeah.
And actually, I have a revised, this is a slightly revised plan. Jim got to us yesterday afternoon and asked that we just clarify some of the variances. We had asked for like the variance from the lot line to a tank to be from 10 feet to 4 feet, and Jim asked us to clarify that it's from the tank and the pump chamber. So that's a slightly revised letter. I don't know if that made it. Yep, you have it.
Is that this?
That's
so
the
this-
same. That is the
okay.
same.
Okay,
We
so
gotta-
it's not noted on the plan.
It is noted on the plan.
So in that,
Yep.
okay,
And
okay.
and this plan is going back to Jim, and I'm gonna leave you this stamped copy today.
Yeah, okay.
So if you'd like, I'd be happy to read through the variances.
Yeah,
You wanna look
actually.
at 'em?
I've read through them once, but go ahead.
Is it 2-bedroom?
It is a 2-bedroom, and it will be deed restricted to 2 bedrooms.
Thank you.
So approval of SOD under 310 CMR 15.4051A to reduce the requisite office from a pump chamber to a property line from 10 feet to 4 feet, and from a septic tank to a property line from 10 feet to 4 feet. Number 2, approval of SOD under 310 CMR 15.451B to reduce the requisite offset from a septic tank to a foundation from 10 feet to 7 feet, and from a pump chamber to a foundation from 10 feet to 9 feet. And basically, there's one little plateau on the side of the house here, and that's really the only area that we can fit the tanks, fit the jet and the pump chamber in. I guess I'll also note, both these tanks are poly tanks, so they're a polyethylene tank. It's watertight. It's got a boot for the inlet and a boot for the outlet. It has no seams to it.
Because it's
And that's really the only,
down the hill.
it's really the only tank you could actually get in here. These can be, they're much lighter than a concrete tank. Typically, the only thing you have to be concerned about with a poly tank is buoyancy, but because the water table is going to be elevation of the pond here, there won't be in any type of water table. Number 3, approval of SOD under 310 CMR 15.4051G and Littleton Code 226-6 to reduce the requisite office from a pump chamber to a private well from 50 feet to 33 feet, and from a septic tank to a private well from 50 feet to 40 feet. Approval of SOD under 310 CMR 15.451G and Littleton Code 226-6 to reduce the requisite offset from a leaching area to a private well from 100 feet to 86 feet, and from 150 feet to 86 feet respectively. The well serves the subject property. A variance is requested from Littleton Code 226-6 to reduce the requisite offset from a well to a property line from 50 feet to 6 feet. And a variance is requested from Littleton Code 226-6 to reduce the requisite offset from well to a water course from 100 feet to 18 feet. So the piece of property that abuts this is actually a piece of vacant land. It used to be owned by the neighbor on the adjacent side of it. He subsequently moved and sold that to one of the abutters across the street so they can have access to the pond. And that abutter was originally notified as part of this hearing process.
Right.
It's got abandoned cottages on it.
Actually, that's further down.
Oh, that's that way, right?
Yeah,
Towards Barron.
this one doesn't have any structures on it.
Is there a butter here? No? Okay. So I'll ask the obvious question. It's a small, this is actually fixed, not new construction. So,
Correct.
and this is a small, weird lot. That's it? That's as good as it gets?
This is as good as
Yeah.
it gets. This is about the best system that you can get. I mean, this system provides advanced treatment. It's pressure dosed. It's a pressure dosed field. The water that comes out of this is about as clean as you can get it before you put it in the ground.
It's pretty close to our town's aquifer, so it's What do they have currently? Not that I don't know what's failing. It's
Right now, they have some kind of a little leaching structure.
Bucket.
I
Basically, a
don't
bucket.
disagree.
I mean, with that system in place, the well still, when they sampled it, it tested clean. I mean, we're dramatically increasing the offset to the water table, that pushing it up the hill. That was elevation relative 80. This is gonna go up to elevation roughly 95. So we're increasing the groundwater offset compared to the old one by an additional probably 15 feet.
Questions from the board?
I have no question.
No other
Two
questions.
bedroom, no problem.
The 50-foot well radius versus a 100-foot well radius down here at the bottom?
Right,
Just
because of the location, bringing it out of the actual pond onto land would reduce it.
But was there 100 feet that you had to worry about? 100-foot
So
radius?
this is the
that you-
100-foot radius for the proposed well. So we're gonna be 86 feet from the leaching area to the well.
Oh, and that's part of the variance that you're asking
That's-
for?
Yeah,
Yep.
and then your Littleton code for wells offset to systems that are in 2-minute-inch material is actually 150 feet, which matches what the code used to be for your Board of Health offset. Used to have a regulation that systems had to be 150 feet from a well in 2-minute soils.
Mm.
That's subsequently been changed.
Other questions?
I have no question.
No, I don't have any.
Someone, can I entertain a motion?
Oh, I move to approve everything you just said. You just went through the whole
I
thing.
second.
But so just so we're quasi-official, I
That's the
don't want
most
anybody to
quickest
come and
answer
chase
that
me
I
down
have
when I sleep.
From this
For
lady.
the plan dated,
It's revised yesterday, 5/7/2018.
all right, 57422 Cricket Lane. Can I have a second?
Second, I did, I second.
You second. Well,
You're too slow.
all right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, all opposed? Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Okay, the owner and engineer for 73 Hartwell has requested a continuance to the next meeting. So that now leaves us with continued discussion on 17 Roxbury Drive.
How you doing?
Hello.
Peter? All right.
I got some small questions for you, and then we'll see how it goes from there. Number one is, this right here is from 1994. The town has taxed it as a two-bedroom system, two-bedroom house. There it is outlined, there's the date. Here it is in 2002, it still says it's a two-bedroom. This right here shows, I can't tell which one is your signature, Gino. But you signed this.
Let me see,
You signed this.
let me see.
In a minute. You signed this, and then Peter Yap signed it, and somebody else signed it. And it was, all in relation to a two-bedroom, proposed two-bedroom home on 17 Roxbury Road. In the same evening that that was approved, another property was approved. Someone on the board had issues with it and reported it to DEP. Mr. Marshall went down, it's Marshall, correct? Went down to DEP, and his conversation with me was, they didn't really like what happened over there. They weren't so upset with yours. That was his conversation with me. That's the way I recall it, and it's actually on the meetings. You can watch it on TV, and that's what he says. So, my issue here is that I don't see how you can sign a piece of paper stating that it's approved for a two-bedroom system, and then rescind it.
I never rescind it.
That's right, you didn't rescind it, okay.
Can
Well,
I
then-
ask you something? I'm just want to clarify. On this piece of paper, where does it say two-bedroom system?
It wasn't filled in
Okay.
with that one there, because I don't get it.
Oh.
That's where I caught other ones in.
So, I don't understand why
So
it
the
wasn't
vote, the
filled in.
vote was for a two-bedroom.
Two-bedroom
Permit is-
proposed.
that we signed is not, that isn't filled in on the
Well,
piece of
I
paper.
didn't exactly bring in a bunch of information for something other than a two-bedroom. Not to be
No.
rude, but that's the way it
I
was.
got you, I'm just clarifying.
So-
It's not,
This right here is, that's the septic system that was approved. And again, I came in 2015 and had a system design that was approved. There was a 25 reduction for a two-bedroom, it was approved. It was a lousy system. I went and paid for a whole nother complete system to be drawn, a much better system without any variances as far as lesser, it basically is in full compliance with a two-bedroom system, short of perhaps a 2-foot offset, which is permitted under Presby systems. It lowered the height of the system, it made it more appealing to the neighbors, and it gave a better system.
So who's giving you a problem?
Partially in between the building inspector not willing to sign off, this board, of which I've been in front of a few times, the Aaron apparently had an issue and asked for town council to look at it.
Right.
His first decision was uninformed. He did not watch he did not watch the TV, he did not see the meetings. He made an uninformed decision. The second time around,
You don't know what the decision is.
Listen to me, I don't want you to get upset, even though I don't like you, you don't like me, I'll still love you.
I love you, baby.
Now, listen to me. The only...
Why don't you
Mr.
like me?
Chairman, Mr. Chairman, may I thank you? The only thing you and I, we can settle this here, I will personally, as a vice chairman of this board, will go with you and the attorney to the DPA, and we will explain it, okay? The DPA will not refuse our request, okay? Because there is no way, when we sign it for 2-bedroom, we have all your proof that you gave us. We will show them. There is no reason why from 1-bedroom to 2-bedroom, it wasn't your fault that it wasn't not in a particular file. Okay, very rarely something like that come in front of us, very rare. And it happened before, one time when Mr. Casanari was here. Despite he's not willing to help us, myself and Peter Yappi went all the way to Worcester, and we settled it, okay?
Mr. Chairman, to Mr. Frattallone's comments, thank you very much for your position. Thank you very much for your strength of character in standing behind this board's decision. We're here before you because this board should have the guts to put the 2 in that 2-bedroom permit. When it came here to be signed, this board should have said, there's nothing in that line, it needs to be a 2, that's what we voted. And we're asking you to put the 2 in there. When he gets to the point of having Mr. Gariffi or the building inspector say, I'm not signing off the building permit, we will take you up on your offer to go to DEP together. But we should not have to wait for DEP today to say that 2 goes in there.
You make arrangement, I will be there, you can
I
call
want
me
the 2 in
anytime.
we want the 2 in that permit tonight because he deserves to have that
I know, even
months
though he
ago.
doesn't like me, I know that.
I don't
I'm
dislike
fair.
you, Rich.
I'm fair with everybody, and everybody knows that I love
Gino likes to
Littleton
say it,
and
so
the
you
people
get
in
it.
Littleton, no matter who they are, even John, right, John? I know, I still love you though.
I wasn't at the original talks,
No, you will not.
I guess, but from what I'm hearing, and I do completely understand now what's going on. If it's signed, if it's taxed, you've been paying for it the way it is,
Right.
but it's not on that piece of paper, from my standpoint, I don't sign a piece of paper unless it has all the information on it. But that was signed.
But we had all the information except,
On the piece, I'm just saying, on that piece of paper that's saying it does not have a 2.
that's okay.
We don't sign them to sign them, we sign them to actually sign them for what they're worth.
There was.
That one doesn't have a 2. I'm not saying that we should or should not add
May
a
I
2 to it because
explain
I wasn't in the
something to
first
you?
one. Yes, sir.
Human beings are infallible, right? No, we make mistake. Whoever took care of it,
All right, let's.
the assessment, they never realized it
So,
was a
hold on,
two-bedroom.
hold on, it's late, and so let's be focused on our discussion here. It got signed without the number in it.
Understood.
Right? So, believe me, you're gonna sign enough of these, you're gonna make a mistake.
No, but what I was gonna
So,
get to
no,
is-
just
is we should-
Enough. I don't wanna quibble on this when we've gotta settle this. All right, so, that aside, not whether we should have signed something that had something filled in or not. Do you have a comment or discussion on the matter at hand? Or questions, because you haven't been to most of these, or at least the last couple at least one of them, the last one, the last time they were here.
A signed paper is a signed paper. That's all I'm getting at.
So did you read,
At
did
hand.
you read my notes from the discussion that I had with town council?
No.
Okay,
Mr. Chair, we haven't seen them either.
so I will state, and what he told me, and this, and I, is that rescinding is actually irrelevant, right? We don't need to rescind. The actions that we can take as a vote, as a board, is fill in 1 for the bedroom count. We can fill in 2 for the bedroom count. We can fill in 2 with a stipulation that it's deed restricted to a 1-bedroom. That's actually what we can do. We can take those votes. Rescinding is not actually part of it. And then you guys can go forward and do what you want to do, and you can build, and then when it comes time, and if Jim doesn't sign, I'm just walking you through, as I had this discussion with town council, and is, as you've said, either before or after, then you can go, if Jim doesn't sign and Roland doesn't sign off on it, then go down to DEP, representative with this board,
I will
if that
go.
helps, and
I will go.
Gino certainly could, and have that discussion, and if they sign, and it's what council said, what Roland said, and Jim as well, is that if DEP was on board with it,
They will
then
sign
they
it.
would sign off on it,
Yes,
they'd
they
go
will.
forward with it.
Yes, they will.
So what he told me, and this was Tom, said, was he was gonna contact, I think it was, I don't think it was Roland, I think it was Tom said he was gonna contact you directly and give you that suggestion, and let you know the outcome of that, of our discussion, and the suggestion to go down to DEP. No one followed up with me, I don't know if that happened or not, but,
Tom essentially called me and gave me the shorthand version or the Reader's Digest version of what you just said.
okay.
Again, he said even if you filled in the 2, we would still have the difficulty at the time of getting the occupancy permit.
Right.
But we're before you asking you to fill in the 2. That's what should,
So-
that's
so
what it
those-
should be.
Those are our 3 options at the board. So, the interesting and inconsistent paperwork, so there's a permit on record that says it's a 1 from
1965.
50 years ago.
It's
I get it,
1,500
52.
gallons, Mr.
Well,
Chairman, 1,500
It's,
No, no, I
the question
understand.
at hand isn't whether the system's big enough
Right.
for a
I understand.
2-bedroom house.
Right.
It's not. That, I mean,
Oh,
it
it
is. I mean,
is.
it is. I mean, that's not the question. It is. It certainly is. The question at hand is what we can put, or should, we can put
Yeah.
2 on the permit, what we should put in. Permit on record from 52 years ago
Right.
says it's a 1-bedroom. There are assessor cards from as recently as 2002
It's a 2-bedroom.
that says 2-bedroom. But there are assessor cards from as recently as 2010 that say it's a 1-bedroom.
There's also a building permit that states bedrooms to be, ceilings to be,
Right, so it's,
he said, she said.
right,
in
there's a
every
lot of
response.
inconsistencies. So that's, I just want to make sure, because we can be here till midnight,
Oh, we
and I know, and we could talk around it and restate each other,
Mm-hmm.
restate it, right? So I want to make sure we get that. But those are the salient points, is, you know, is those options, 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, 2-bedroom deed restricted. Those, I mean, those are what we can do.
Yeah, I
And we
understand.
have, and then,
If they don't-
whatever we do, then Peter can move forward building whatever he wants to build, and then take it on. And if the DEP doesn't agree with it, there are options that
No,
he
they-
has that are outside
No,
the
no,
board,
they will be,
basically.
they will agree.
Right? So that's where we are on this. And that's is, it isn't a question of what makes this, what further makes it difficult,
I don't know, let me see which one you have there, make sure you,
make sure it's the 2017. That's a good point.
because I've already paid for 2 of them already,
Yeah,
and
let's make sure this isn't
It
the
is.
septic
2016.
systems and.
A question
Yeah.
when you're done though. Well,
So the other thing, and just to make sure everybody understands, and I clarified this with Tom and Roland, is the issue at hand is it's being considered new construction because the building was torn down. I think that's a descriptor, but that's what it's being considered. if this was considered an upgrade approval because of a replacement for an existing
There won't be no
dwelling,
problem.
there would only be two things to consider. The 4-foot to a 2-foot, but it's a Presby system, so that mitigates that. What was the other one? There was an offset, right? No, I don't remember. What was the other one?
I think it's still within 10 feet of the line.
Yes, it was 10 feet of the lot line. That would be it. So if the question was, it wasn't new construction, it was existing construction and upgrade, then there'd be a little less of a gray area.
So let me just speak to that quickly.
Yeah.
That is, when Peter got the original permit, he went to Roland and he said, I've got this permit for this new for the two-bedroom existing. And Roland said, Peter, my preference as a building inspector is that you take down the old and build from scratch, because then you can meet the code.
He should have never said that.
But so wait a minute.
been his policy for 20
Wait a minute. Had he gone in and just done the upgrade for that crappy old two-bedroom dwelling, then he would be here 2 years later with his engineer in 2017 with an issued two-bedroom system saying, let me tear down and make this new system. So the result is going to be the same as it would have been had he gone the long way around Jack Robinson's barn.
And I did everything right. And I got all the permits, I got all the approvals, I asked everybody's permission, and I did it all. I did all of that, and I even paid an extra $5,000 or whatever it is for a new design to make it even better.
For you.
So
So-
my understanding, do you mind if I, do you want to go ahead? I didn't want to interrupt you. My understanding right now is that even if we put 2 on there, when it comes to the certificate of occupancy, it's not going to get signed. Is that correct?
We'll fight that then.
Right,
We'll
but
fight that then.
to some
All
extent,
right.
that's not our,
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
that we look forward to, I mean, we're
So,
trying to have a
what-
forward-looking, we don't look forward to the fight.
Forward to the fight.
We're looking.
Well, I do.
You
'cause I
won't be here.
But we
We're
have an
looking at
option.
the record, like if I were you guys, the record would look like you've got the meeting notes, and we're talking about, we approved a 2-bedroom system at the meeting, and then you've got a piece of paper, and it's blank. So that together is the record, that it's blank, it wasn't filled in, and it was a 2-bedroom system.
We need it filled in.
We're having, we're both sides are having a problem here.
No, that's,
We need
So-
it filled in. I don't think both sides are having a problem.
So here's my proposal
wouldn't-
to you, is in your statement earlier, so we can end all this, if you wish. I want the 2 put in, as it should be in all respects, and I will deed restrict it to 2 bedrooms, not to 1, because I meet all these requirements. Someone just walked out of here with 3 variances for brand-new construction. Brand-new construction, 3 variances,
Not for me.
all right?
No,
So
you-
whoever, regardless, and being fair and throwing sticks, all I'm asking you to do is do the right thing. That's all I've ever asked of anybody, just do the right thing.
We
And
will
that
do-
is put the
Well-
2
We will do
and
the-
restrict it to a 2-bedroom system.
we will do that.
And then I will have my fight later.
I signed that,
If
I
that
was
must
at the
be-
meeting, and I signed that, so if we go down your list, John, I'm not comfortable putting a 1 on there.
Well, no, I'm not saying.
No, I
That's
know,
where I
I'm
was
just,
I was
going
just
with
I'm just
outlining.
going, I'm just
Yeah.
going down the
Yep.
list.
Did you finish the list? I'm
That,
curious.
I'm just not
It
comfortable
was
with
those
that.
3 things.
It-
Those were the options.
That's okay.
So it's,
So
I'd
can
like-
you make a
from
motion
my-
to?
Well, hold on,
Second, I want to hear
David.
what the rest of what you has to say.
Yeah,
Do
so
you-
let.
so the 3 options are the 1, I'm just talking from me, we got a whole
Yeah,
board here.
because I
Not-
want some clarification on this
Not
too.
good, I'm not comfortable with the 1. The 2, I believe that that's the right thing to do.
The 2-room, yeah.
And it's a problem for us because we just set a precedent and we're trying hard not to do that. And that's too bad.
I think it was way back when everything was getting
Yes.
snowballed to a precedent.
Yeah,
It-
1994.
Well, but that's our problem. Maybe we deal with the precedent some other way by having some sort of
If you
formal
decide-
discussion about it.
If you
And then the
decide to go
third
to
thing
the
is,
DP, I'll be very glad to go with you.
Yeah,
the
we
third
started
thing
this-
is vote to add a deed restriction of the 1-bedroom. I'm just speaking from my point of view. I'm not going to do the 1-bedroom, so that's moot.
Okay.
So I'm left with, of those 3 options, are those the 3 options there?
That's basically it, yes.
I'm only left with 1
Yep.
to put 2 in.
So, David.
My
go
question only was, you've paid for taxes on 2-bedroom since build on the paperwork? Because I haven't had a chance to grab it.
Yeah,
since
but
it
they
was
had a
built.
septic.
Since the 70s, from the
Since the septic
70s
went
till
to-
2000.
So there is
But they
an
had a-
assessor's record from 2010 that it's a 1-bedroom.
Gotcha,
Again,
yeah.
it's
Yeah,
all
yeah.
over the map on this,
But
so I don't
David-
know what's right.
Well,
They had a permit for a 1-bedroom, and my understanding and the way I look at it is if we've got a permit, you go by the permit.
So the rules
Not
are,
the
if there's a
assessors.
permit on record, you go with the
And
permit,
there was one.
and there is one. So there is. But
It doesn't, it's not
But-
the permit.
again, I think it's all
It's
over
the
the map.
assessor.
I
Yeah, I
recognize
won't
that
go
it's
by that.
50-some years old, and it could have been, it's cocktail napkins
All right.
at some point, so. Anyhow, go ahead.
No, that was really all my question was if,
Human make mistakes.
it's answered. I'm done.
Okay. Lisa?
So my question, if we say that it's a two-bedroom and we don't do any deed restrictions, is Jim and Roland still not gonna sign off on it?
We don't know what they're gonna do.
We
So
don't.
it's-
We want this board to do what it needs to do.
So
They're going
Jim
one step at a
has
time.
said, and Roland, so Jim, so if, let's take this to the, this is what they've said, and I think they, at least over the last month, have been consistent, is that if Mr. Scott moves forward and builds a two-bedroom house, puts in a two-bedroom, the septic system as designed, for that, Jim's not gonna sign it, and if Jim doesn't sign that final
Roland doesn't.
inspection, Roland will not sign the certificate of
Of
occupancy.
But they know that,
But they've known that, and they've
There you go.
communicated that. The options then presented, or at that point, would be
Go to DEP.
to go to DEP and state their case there. What town council had suggested was do that up front and get that decision up front. Now, that's, again, that's outside this board then. Frankly, that, if they don't want to do it up front, they don't have to do it up front. It's, they're taking the risk of doing this build and not being able to get a certificate of occupancy. Again, I hold that we make our decisions based on the remit of the Board of Health, Public Health and the regs on the septic, and then we should be assessing variances and using our brains, because otherwise what are we here for? There'd be no reason to be here, you just read the variances and go. Regarding, and again, I don't want to be too much on a soapbox, because there is a question and concern about how we set precedents and stuff like that. I think what we need to do, and I say we, sort of, that's royal, I guess, is just be clear in the decision-making process.
Oh, I totally agree.
The decision can be different from property to property. Just because you've made a decision for one property, as long as you're clear about the decision process and why you've made that decision, that's all you can do. So that's all
I do
I'm saying
agree with
going
that in a
forward.
sense because of
There's too many
the
variables.
existing, and it's so small, like the one we just did on 222 Cricket, and then you have to.
Right.
Well,
So fair.
that's another.
But
Yeah,
new build,
so
I'm
just
on
saying
board
that's
with
a
that. I'm
soapbox.
with you.
So, just to move this along,
So-
any
so
other questions?
You
Go
guys
ahead.
are okay with doing this? I mean, you.
Well,
you're-
no, these are
I mean,
the things.
No, but the chance that they may not get an occupancy permit.
That's not my, that's
Well,
not my,
I would request this board to make a motion that says this board is voting to insert a 2 in this permit because it is consistent with the vote of a prior board and consistent with the plan approved with a prior board, plan approved by a prior board.
Just going by
Whether-
the plan, not
whether-
the.
Yes, whether
not
or
the
not, whether or
tax, how
not
it's
you believe
taxed.
it's consistent. If you put that in a motion in the minutes, we'll have our 2, we'll have ammunition to go to the DEP with, and we will have ammunition, frankly, for a future board to say, you need to help us get the occupancy
Well-
permit on this house.
Well, I don't think that, I don't want to put a 2 on there. It was a mistake. And,
That's what-
but it's the right thing to do, as you said, Peter.
So
It's the
put that
right
in the
thing to
motion.
do.
So put that in
So-
the motion.
Mr. Chairman,
But-
can I say something?
hold on.
I will.
Okay, more questions?
No, I'm
Are you
done.
Okay.
Peter, or Jim?
Thank you.
See, he does like you. I just called him.
Okay, just to make it easy and be safer, we put that on a motion in conjunction of, if they, wait a minute, you're an attorney, I study law too, okay?
I'm finished though. No, just kidding.
I just Gino now.
Anything from the inside of the cell doesn't come.
In conjunction, if the building inspector will not sign it, and and also the building inspector and the agent will not sign it, then we can go to DEP, and I will volunteer to go with you guys.
But see, Gino, you don't have to
You
state
don't
that.
have to- yeah, you
If
don't.
we state that, then we're saying we want it to go to that direction. We just say, if we
So
put a
it
motion,
doesn't
it's
need to
just
be in
two.
the motion,
Okay.
it's in, the-
Right.
it'll be in the minutes.
Thank
that
you, thank you.
As
You've
long as-
committed, we
As long
know.
you know, in
And
good
the-
faith, I
the
want to make
only-
sure the gentleman gets a fair.
The only reason
Okay.
I feel like the only option is a two-piece, because you're right, we voted on it and it was a mistake. But
Yeah.
that's that's on us.
That's fine if that's what the motion needs to say, because it needs to be ratifying what a prior board did.
I see, we're going through all this, but again, going back on health and safety, if they have a two-bedroom system, they've had a two-bedroom system, they want to make a two-bedroom house there,
That's it.
put a two on because of the mistakes.
Right.
We
Well,
just
we're
need
not,
it
they
because-
got a variance on Title V, and we're not supposed to give those. I think that's the problem.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, so, given the time and the discussion, are we clear on path forward? And can I entertain a motion from someone?
I'd like to make a motion to entail on the paper the designated two-bedroom on the piece of paper.
Can I add something to that? Is that
Go ahead.
allowed?
Yeah, you can always adjust it.
In order to be consistent with the meeting minutes and the discussion when the permit was discussed.
Was signed, discussed, signed with him.
Yeah, when the,
Approved, when it was approved,
okay.
in 2017.
Second. I second.
Second, the amended
The
motion.
amended motion.
Any other questions or comments?
Honestly.
All in favor of the motion as amended by Aaron, say aye.
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 Opposed?
Thank you
Okay,
very much.
motion carries.
I want to thank the board very much for tedious and lengthy
Put the number two
deliberation.
on it.
Sorry.
No,
I can't
mean it.
sign that
Thank
now
you.
because
It
I
was a
wasn't
long
going
way
to
to
sign it.
come
So
to
someone
the-
that signed it has to do it.
Yeah, and then we'll,
I'll do
well,
it.
no,
Right?
no.
All right,
So
I'm saying-
we'll
I got
all
my pen
initial
ready.
the change.
I agree with,
Is what
okay,
that
yeah.
is, Yeah. I think
That's,
so,
I know
I-
there's other
I-
copies that need to be written on,
Yep.
go ahead, sign, put the number two on it.
and then we'll make sure if something
In the
needs to be
right spot?
adjusted. Yeah, if something needs to be adjusted, if we don't quite do it right, the minutes are captured, will be captured, and we'll make sure the
You
permit
have a
is-
record, you've got the
Yeah.
minutes, so
Can
you
you
got the
put-
minutes and the
Can you
permit, so
put
they.
Gone through this
TWO
3 times
in
now.
that? Can you put TWO instead of the number two?
Why, because
Oh,
you might
I
add
get
a
it.
1 or a 0 before?
No,
20?
because we've seen
12, 20.
things, we've seen things where it's like
I've seen
one,
people
could
cut
be
the middle of the
5.
tape measures out, 5 feet off the middle of the tape measure so that something will meet an offset of the road.
Where's it go? Where's it go?
That's, I believe it's up top.
Right? That's what I thought. Lot size, soil
Bedroom house.
ground,
Bedroom count?
there it is. So, today's what?
7?
8.
5/8/18.
It's Tuesday. You bet.
All right, it's
Already
it's
been
in,
a
I'm gonna
long
wait
day.
till
Guys, can you
everybody
put the
initials.
initials on the margin side?
On the margin side?
Sure,
All right.
just to
Yep.
keep that clean.
I dated above the 2.
And you, young lady, you owe me a hug.
You have more than one hug from me all the time.
Should I sign on bottom because you're the
Just
chairman?
underneath me, yeah.
That's what I'm
Doesn't
saying.
matter.
I don't want to cut you.
And Gino, I appreciate your willingness to go to DEP on this.
I don't want to close the meeting because I want to make sure we've signed the correspondence that we've needed to.
Absolutely.
I want
You
to put
happy
that
now?
to the. Oh,
needs
you're still
paper on it.
signing, I get it.
I couldn't sign it on
I
the
thought you were
table.
going to take that home.
No, I'm not taking that home.
In her pocketbook, she's running quick, block the door.
Initially, was all right. Initially. you
Yeah,
wanted-
yeah. So the question is,
I initially, they be all right, Annie?
We're all done, aren't we?
no, I haven't, I don't want to close the meeting because we might have, I think we have
We have
permits to
some things we
sign,
have to
Yes, yes, yes.
some correspondence.
Like 20,
And
27?
There's a list, we typically don't have them all, whether they're here or not.
Do I have to?
Hold on, no, you've signed it.
Initially, they be all right?
No, you've initialed, that's all we're doing. Here. So, you'll take this to Shelley for us, or just?
I'm gonna frame it first and take pictures of it.
I figured you, so if you
Just
could
put
get
it
it.
on the counter and walk away.
I never wanna hear-
Come home, why, so it
Is the
disappears
door
like the other
I
ones?
never want to hear the end of it.
Is the door open, unlocked?
No, it's locked, unlocked.
It's
I
locked.
wouldn't do that.
they're not.
It's locked.
Don't leave it there tonight.
And
No, I was gonna copy.
Don't have a conversation.
Make a copy and bring
Okay.
it, bring it back.
I will,
Mr. Davis, I really appreciate your going to bat on this one, and I will miss you on this board.
Thank you.
It's sad that you're moving on.
voice of reason.
No, I try.
And
Wait
thank
till I
you.
go home, I never get that.
You owe me.
I never get that at home.
2 hours.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you. And just out of your statement about something that was done wrong previously, I don't believe you did anything wrong previously.
Are you gonna say hello to me next time you see me?
You approved a two-bedroom system.
You gonna say hello to me when you see me again?
I'm gonna celebrate with you when you win selectmen.
Oh.
Here we are. All right, where are we at here?
Can't we sign those after, can I go?
No, we have to take care of them real quick.
Why don't you sign it now, you first?
Nah,
and then
you
I'll bring
gotta
it
read
tomorrow.
them.
No, if they're, so wait a
I
minute.
usually
So
do read them, I don't
it's
know
if
how I
they've
missed
been
that.
approved, so, all right, so this is for 65 Grimes, we approved that, right?
Yep.
Okay. Why don't we start off on that end so you can be
Yeah,
first?
you can be first then, right.
Did we have it
I can't believe it.
before you start, before you move on?
What?
Does gentleman have?
Watch the circus?
Is he from DEP?
Hey, we might be visiting DEP, so.
So this is 540 Great Road.
65 grams.
That was today.
Yep, that was approved, right?
Yep.
This is 107 Harvard, that was approved.
Okay, go ahead.
I think everything was approved, right?
This one
No.
says,
No.
there's, everything says there.
Oh, they were, that's
Yes.
right.
Yes.
Everything's approved.
Well, I'm not
Just because
signing
we
them all.
didn't vote for everything doesn't mean it wasn't approved.
Yep. Manchester
This is
Lot
no-
A,
You signed this? Did you sign it?
Manchester Lot B.
Did you sign that?
Yeah.
Yeah. By the time you.
This, what's, 540 Great Road, okay. Placement.
Cricket Lane, yeah, that's
Yeah,
that
that's-
crazy one.
Okay, I didn't approve that one, I'm not signing it.
Good. All right.
This system was
This
designed,
is, this is signed. Go ahead.
700.
Sign it for you.
yeah, just,
This is signed for you. Oh, well, they signed this one.
I'll sign everything at the end.
What? You know what, there's not a place for a,
If it's-
bedroom count here. Oh, right here, over
Oh,
here,
yeah.
okay.
Right there, yeah.
It's right here.
It's not obvious.
No, it isn't.
Look at this
There
again.
it goes. Any more? Any more?
Yeah,
Wow.
because these are now new construction, so they.
Okay.
they
Oh,
just-
so we don't have the bedroom counts in the notes, which is where I usually keep my,
Doesn't it say that?
notes. 107
Does it say?
Harvard was 3.
So these are all new construction, so it's just, there's,
Yeah, okay. And I guess we have no problem because, we have to sign it anyway. They
Right.
can, yeah,
same with this one.
okay.
And this one, that's why they didn't come.
Okay.
I don't think I
No
voted for
It's only
Harvard.
two
We have to
bedroom.
sign whether
This
we
is only
approved
two
or not.
bedroom.
What?
We sign whether we approved or
I
not,
did
right?
that one.
Four bedroom, 15.
No.
That was continued. Yep. I don't know why it was continued, but it was continued. Is that right? Okay.
5 bedroom, 2,000
Really?
gallons.
After all this time?
Yeah.
All right.
Oh.
I was
Oh, wait,
hoping
I
to clear the
didn't-
slate.
Oh, whatever. I didn't
Revised the
approve that
plan
one.
so many times.
Right, that was, I said my goal was to clear the slate.
Yeah.
I did not do that.
Let me have
So
this.
make a big pile of when you finish signing, David, and then I'll just sign at the end, everything.
Okay.
Real quickly.
Are we
This
go-
I have,
for-
oh, yep.
Are we going for call?
Yep,
All
I
right.
got one in there.
Yeah, okay.
No,
This is
I'll make it a gallon.
Yeah, if
Um,
we're gonna be checking these, it's hard to, we don't, actually, maybe what we should do is start having a tick list, a spreadsheet or something where we just put in, so that we can check as we go. Because the information's in all different places, it'll take
Yeah.
forever to check it.
Where is Vint Lane?
Are you guys waiting for me to throw you out?
And here's one last one. This again is.
You got a smile on your face.
It's a deed restricted to a two-bedroom, even though it's a three-bedroom.
Yeah, you don't,
Restricted.
You're not gonna
The
beat me
deed-
up, are you?
The
You
deed
don't throw
restriction's
out
attached if
candidates.
you want to look at it.
I got people
Is
here.
that a new one?
Does it have a variance?
Don't beat me up. I'm too weak.
Can I see that, please? No, that's why it never came to us. So we just signed, but she's noting that there's a
What is
deed
it?
restriction.
It's a two-bedroom.
Yeah, minigun. 1,500.
Oh, crap, why did I sign that? The dates are not on this thing?
What's that? What?
Haven't.
Juice market, there's no date.
Didn't even pay attention.
April 24th?
The date, the
So the
permit.
originals, you don't,
Yeah.
And then
yeah, and this one too, doesn't have it.
well, Shelley will
Well,
take it.
we go, it's the date the permit's issued.
That's fine.
Is there.
Completes. Well, the date, the permit issue is not on this. 22 Cricket. It's not.
We just issued the permit,
So
or
it'd
we
be,
just approved the plan. So do we fill in?
If you wanna, it's captured in, well, you can write it if you want, but it's captured in
Yeah,
the
so
minutes, so,
it'll tell.
so then it's fine. I would think it's fine
Two bedroom.
at that point.
I mean, what's the septic system? 1,000 gallon. Well, a pump.
I already signed that.
Two bedroom.
No,
What was this?
this is one, there's no variance requested, but it's a 3-bedroom that's being deed restricted to a 2-bedroom. And so we just need to sign that the deed restriction is attached for your information.
I'm sorry, I'm supposed to be somewhere. Are we done yet?
So we can, I would like to entertain a motion.
Can we be, I move to be done.
I do too. Can I second a motion?
A second.
You can second, you can first and second.
I could have one
Go
last
ahead,
time.
do it.
All right, I would like to, well, I don't want it to end. No.
Why don't you stick another
Just stand
I vote for you, man. I vote for you. You can come maybe.
I
See
am-
your sign.
I am tired.
Every month.
So I would like to, motion that we close today's meeting of the Littleton Board of Health.
Okay, I second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That could
You
happen
beat me.
fast enough.
You son of a gun, you beat
Motion's
me.
closed.